We welcome you back to California Speedway, where our live NASCAR Busch Series coverage is coming your way next on ESPN2 HD, presented by Vizio. Welcome you back to California Speedway, where the sun is about to set here over Southern California, and that means it is time for NASCAR's Busch Series stars to shine. Race number 2 of 35 on the $50 million NASCAR Busch Series season for 2007. Hello, everyone. Along with our championship analysts Rusty Wallace and Andy Petrie, I'm Jerry Punch. Glad to have you with us here at California Speedway. Guys, this racetrack 3,000 miles geographically away from where we began the season last week at Daytona. But in terms of demands on car and driver, it is a world apart. And Rusty, you're cinching up in that seat for the second time this year, but the first time with no restrictor plate on the car. What are your concerns right now?
Well, Jerry, my biggest concern right now, a lot of these drivers in these cars, I don't know who they are. The car colors are different. The drivers are different. They swapped a lot of stuff around since the last Daytona race. So Kevin Harvick's not in the familiar 21. He's in the 33. Young Timothy Peters is in the 21. Stuff like that. That's on my mind. The other thing that's on my mind, hey, we're going to start this race in a day, and it's going to end at night. The chassis is going to be way different, and Andy, we're going to have to work on that.
Yeah, I'm going to tell you, if I'm your crew chief, don't worry about those other cars. Just worry about your car. You worry about your car. Keep it out of trouble. Keep it in contention. I'll get it adjusted for you. If you'll tell me what it's doing, I'll get it adjusted for you by the end of the race, and we can go get them.
How aggressive can you be, though, early on? You know the track's going to be slippery and sliding. We saw a lot of slipping and sliding there in qualifying.
And you got to get the goodie out of the tires, meaning when the tires are brand new, you go for it. You get all you possibly can, because here in California, track position is everything. I want my pit crew to give me a good pit stop. I want to stay in front. That means 4 tires, 2 tires, or no tires. But here today, I'm sure it's going to be 4.
NASCAR's Busch Series finest strapping in now, getting set for race number 2. It is a $50 million season. What a finish we had in Daytona, as Kevin Harvick came from 31st starting spot to win the season opener. The reigning series champion, winning the beginning race of 2007. Now it is time to go down trackside for the words we've all been waiting for. Here is the command to start.
Once again, race fans, welcome your Grand Marshal, the Red Rocker, Sammy Hagar, as he delivers those most famous words in motorsports.
All right, motorheads, are we having any fun yet? Are you ready to go racing? Gentlemen, please start your engines and line them up!
With that, Sammy needs a little more energy on that command next time, but with that, we are roaring and ready to go as the crews are now getting ready to walk back to the wall, as is Sammy, after that rousing invitation to get them fired up. Let's check in on some of the late-breaking stories in the pits. Here's first Alan Bestwood.
Well, Doc, Toyota starts on the pole tonight. Dave Blaney driving a car fielded by Braun Racing. Now, Braun Racing is a NASCAR Busch Series only team trying to compete against the Nextel Cup giants like Roush Fenway, Richard Childress Racing, Hendrick Motorsports, and Joe Gibbs. The Braun team feels like the engineering and engine support that they've gotten from Toyota has put them on a competitive par with some of the giants of the sport. They've got a chance to make history tonight if they can win this race.
Alan, this race will go from day to night, and the difference in the way this racetrack feels to a race car is night and day from the start to the end. The team that wins tonight will not be the team that's fastest at the start of this race. It's the team that can adjust throughout the evening and make the car come to the track. We'll see who can do that. It's not an easy task. These teams have all built what they call adjustability into their cars to try to make that happen. We'll watch and see. Jamie?
Well, Dave, coming back to California Speedway is somewhat of a homecoming for Sam Hornish Jr., the open-wheel star. You know, he had 2 wins here in 2002 and 2003, but tonight he's starting just his 4th Busch race. That means he is a rookie here in a stock car, guys. We'll have to wait and see how he does. He's starting 16th. That's the best yet. Mike?
Well, Jamie, just how important is track position at the California Speedway? Well, the last 4 Busch Series winners here have started in the top 4 starting positions. That, however, does not mean this race will be settled on the racetrack. It could be settled here on pit road. The pit boxes are 42 by 20 feet wide, spacious, but not forgiving. One little mistake here could mean disaster for a team on the racetrack. At speeds at near 180 miles per hour, a 1-second difference on pit road could mean a distance of nearly 300 feet, nearly the distance of an entire football field. They certainly don't want to fumble the ball here. One guy calling the shots is crew chief Pat Smith, crew chief our in-car analyst Jeff Burton.
Jeff Burton, Rusty Wallace, ESPN, you got us?
I got you.
Jeff, a lot of people are concerned about how slick this track's going to be at the beginning of the race. You feel like they get a good handle on it?
That's right, Rusty. Got a lot of static there, but yeah, I feel pretty good about it. I think it's going track's going to loosen up here as it gets cooler, and looking forward to it.
So you actually think that as the track cools down, it's going to get looser?
That's you, Rocky. You got me okay?
10-4, boss. Loud and clear.
Okay, 10-4. So that did you get a lot of static there too?
All right, Jeff Burton will be riding in 3rd starting spot. He will be one of the cars to watch early on with his Holiday Inn Chevrolet out of the Richard Childress stable. Well, ESPN's presentation of the NASCAR Busch Series at California Speedway is being brought to you by New Chase Freedom. Finally, a credit card that lets you choose cash back or reward points. By Holiday Inn Racing, always stay under green. And by Nextel Only from Sprint, helping NASCAR Cup fans get more done. Back with the green in a moment. NASCAR Busch Series action coming your way live. Flag-to-flag coverage from Fontana, California. California Speedway hosting their 14th ever NASCAR Busch Series event. And we got some special views for you in this 300-mile race. In fact, we're going to have 8 high-definition onboard cameras. Now, let's hear from the guys who will be carrying our cameras in tonight's race.
The hard thing is you run straight into the sun, which makes it difficult, you know, when you got all day that you could run a race, and we start late like that. But it makes it more challenging for the drivers and for the crew chiefs, for sure, to have to plan ahead.
You kind of have to go off some past experience. Last few Cup races here ended at night. The fall race does. So try to use some of that experience, what the track does, and you know, try to apply that to your setup so you can have a good event.
I'm from Long Beach, California, and it's about 40 to 45 minutes from here in Fontana. Mileage, I don't know. You know, in California, everything's time-wise, so depending on traffic. But I love coming back here. I mean, Southern California is great for me. I got a lot of family, a lot of friends.
My past experience in California is a track that's really tight, as you know, as it cools off, and a lot of times that's good. You get a lot of grip, the cars get tighter, but the speeds pick up a ton, and guys tend to think that they're more Superman-like whenever when it's cooling off out here.
Here, the draft is big down the straightaways, but you lift getting into the corners, so it's not something that you really draft by somebody in any of the corners of California.
You see guys running the bottom, middle, top, and sometimes from the drop of the green you see people doing that. The straightaways are long enough where you can use the draft to gain on a guy in front of you, and it's just a pretty cool place.
And we'll also have an onboard camera with Kenny Wallace, who will be starting back in 27th position. He is subbing for David Gilliland, who is from nearby Riverside, California. Gilliland has a little bit of a flu, and Kenny got in at the last minute, no practice whatsoever, and did a great job qualifying this car. The FreeCreditReport.com Ford for Ed Renzi in the top 30, as he will start in 27th spot, his 383rd NASCAR Busch Series start. Well, it's been a cool week here in California, but today the weather turned out nice, so temperatures have come up. it is much warmer than it's been all week long.
Yeah, it's much better temperature than it's been. We've had wind, we've had rain, we've had cold, but right now we've got, as you see, track temperature's 94, air temp's 59. We got a little bit of wind, not too bad, but it's sunny. But it's getting ready to change real quick.
As you take a look at our race analysis, this is a 300-mile event, 150 laps on a 2-mile racetrack. And here again, I told you, it is the 14th time the NASCAR Busch Series cars have come here. There have been 9 different winners, and there are 4 former winners in this field. A pit window, Andy Petrie, looking at 48 to 52 laps. But historically, there have been some people who have gambled and won this race on fuel mileage.
Well, it's a big, wide racetrack. These guys can race all over it, and there's not typically a lot of cautions. So what you have at the end of some of these races is a fuel mileage run. A lot of times it comes down to fuel mileage at a track like this in Michigan.
These cars be sliding all over the place, and you can lose the front end. When the front end starts pushing, that's going to burn more fuel. And if the car's a little bit free, a little looser, it's going to burn less fuel. So a lot of things are going to happen tonight when it comes to fuel mileage. So folks, don't go anywhere. Take a look at this one. Now look, out here in California, it's about 448 right now. The sun's coming down, coming into turn 3. These drivers are going to play havoc getting into turn 3. Sun's already going to be a problem, Jerry.
All right, let's listen in to the outside front row starter, Matt Kenseth, talking to his team.
Okay, just play it by ear. If we run a full fuel load, but maybe we won't use them stuffs up. But if we could kind of really use them up, just use your head. Whatever you think we'll get to.
All right, Matt is a 3-time winner here. There are 2 drivers who have won this race 3 times. He and, of course, his Roush Fenway teammate Greg Biffle have each won this race. Biffle won this race a year ago, dominated by leading over 50 laps. After you qualify, there are certain cars that are at the back of the field today. Marcus Ambrose, who was the rookie who had damage, had to go to a backup car. Carl Edwards, who had a tire go flat when he was qualifying. And these cars that had adjustments after the impound, they in fact, Steve Wallace had a great qualifying effort, but they had to go to the back of the pack.
Well, we saw after Stephen Wallace qualified that he had broken the valence on the front of his car. He said that he'd got permission from NASCAR to do it, to change it, but maybe they just had to move him to the rear of the field. Maybe he got penalized for that.
I guess adjustments are adjustments. Here they come down for the green flag, and we are underway with NASCAR Busch Series action at California Speedway. Boy, 3 wide. They try to make it 4 wide down that long back straightaway. 2,500 feet. Kyle Busch in the 5. Casey Mears, his teammate in the middle. That's Denny Hamlin in the 20 car up high.
Jerry, this is the first time you've seen these guys run this wide right now. They've been practicing, but not under these conditions. And right now the sun's coming down. The track conditions are changing. These guys got fresh tires, and they're getting wild out there right now.
So much for feeling your car out. Those guys went to racing right away. 3 wide, 4 wide.
And just moments ago, Dave Blaney, by the way, the pole sitter, led the first lap. So both of the first 2 events this year have been led in lap number 1 by Toyota. Toyota making history in the NASCAR Busch Series by winning their first ever pole and only the 2nd race they've competed in.
Right now, track positions, everything. These cars love downforce. They love having clean air to the front of the nose to make them handle real good. See Jeff Burton right there getting ready to overhaul the 10 car of Dave Blaney. He's not letting him get out of his sights right now.
He beat him through the corner, but Dave Blaney's car just took off, rocketed on that front straightaway, just pulled away from him.
Jeff Burton, as you see, has been awfully good historically at this racetrack. He's finished 2nd twice. Had 2 wins last year driving for Richard Childress Racing. And we have trouble. 1 car spinning. That is the 77 car that has spun sideways.
Caution is out. Caution's out.
Curtis Davis driving the Kevin Harvick Incorporated car. And the 0 of Eric McClure also involved.
Doesn't look like Curtis Davis has any damage. The 0 looks pretty clean too. Don't really know what happened there. It kind of happened toward the back of the field.
Curtis Davis driving one of the 3 cars owned by Kevin Harvick. This is the car driven by Bobby Labonte.
Got real loose when I tried to pass him. I didn't hit nothing, though.
In qualifying, this 77 was just out of control loose. Looks like they didn't get it fixed.
You got to spend a lot of time. These cars were so loose in qualifying, Andy. This racetrack hasn't changed a whole lot. The sun is starting to go down a little bit. It's not enough right now to see big changes, but I'll tell you what, those guys got real lucky that they didn't tear the fenders off these things. Curtis Davis did a great job spinning that thing and holding on to it.
All right, let's see if we can see what happened. Riding along with Mike Wallace. Now look way ahead of Mike Wallace on the racetrack. See if we can see. There's the car spinning.
All right, wrecking in front of you, wrecking in front of you. Good job. Didn't hit him.
Now, how in the world do you see all the smoke plus the glare on the windshield? I don't know how Mike Wallace knew anything was happening in front of him.
I can tell you, just whoever watched Days of Thunder and all that smoke, that's what it looks like, guys. You're coming through that smoke and you're going, hey, is this guy going to slide to the top? He's going to go to the bottom. What's going to happen? And look, they were missing him everywhere just then. Everybody got lucky there. Mike did a heck of a great job getting out of that accident because, boy, it was right dead in front of him.
We welcome you back to our NASCAR Busch Series Stater Brothers 300 here at California Speedway in Fontana, California. We are under yellow for the first time today on lap 3. And Andy, here's what we should watch for today.
Yeah, this is a tale of 2 tracks. This track is totally different during the day than it is at night. It's going to go through a transition period, and it's going to be changing. These guys got to keep up with it. Track position, you got to make quality pit stops to stay up there, keep your driver up in front of all this stuff, and keep your track position so you can run fast. And managing your fuel mileage. You got to get the most out of your fuel tank, and especially at the end of the race, you got to kind of gear your strategy toward the end of the race.
All right, here again, that is Tony Stewart driving the 18 car. He will drive, it's one of the Joe Gibbs cars. He'll drive this car twice and the 20 car twice. Those are 4 of his 12 NASCAR Busch Series starts he will make in 2007. Field lined up behind Dave Blaney. If you just joined our coverage, Blaney winning the pole for the first time ever for Toyota. It's his 7th career pole, but first ever for Toyota in NASCAR Busch Series competition.
Green flag, green flag.
Rusty, a moment ago, it looked like the 29 car of Jeff Burton was going to try to go after Blaney early on, and then, of course, the yellow came out. He looks like he's going to be very aggressive in the early laps.
Well, Jerry, as this race gets going on, there are a lot of guys who are running right on the bottom of turn 1 and 2, but the momentum's going to start building. They're going to go to the top side of the racetrack. Expect a lot of pass on the exit of turn 2. Here at California, that's where most of the action happens.
Side-by-side action almost. That is the 33 of Harvick trying to move to the inside or down below the 24 car of Casey Mears, a couple of California boys.
Yeah, these guys are just feeling their cars out, trying to see who's strong, see what their car can do. They're working the bottom of the racetrack right now. And like Rusty said, they'll probably start moving up a little bit, move up a lane, see how their car works up there. But right now, they're just trying to see what they've got.
You know, a lot of teams talk about this second race of the season as being where the real season starts because they don't use the restrictor plates here, and the type of racing is totally unlike it is at Daytona. Well, for Casey Mears running there in that 24 car, literally his NASCAR Busch Series season does start here. This team crashed 2 cars at Daytona. Crew Chief Chad Walter told me it was the most disgusted he's ever been. He said, there's only going to be 51 weeks in this year because I forgot all about that one. I'll never remember it again. I kind of doubt that he'll forget about it. But they really want to have a good run tonight and get their season off on the right foot.
Alan Casey Mears driving a brand new car that they tested at Las Vegas, and given the fact they didn't have a whole lot left of those 2 cars in Daytona, but he has come back to within the shadows of his Bakersfield, California home, wanting to do well in front of the hometown fans.
It looks like he's running right in the shadow of his teammate, Kyle Busch. These 2 cars are prepared out of the same shops in Charlotte at Hendrick Motorsports, and these guys work really close together. Looks like they got the cars kind of dialed in about the same.
Here is Joe Nemechek in the 87 leading this group, the 37 car. That is Jamie McMurray. And Sam Hornish, you heard us talk about Sam early in the show here about the fact that he has been very successful here at this racetrack in IndyCar competition and getting more and more comfortable. Had a pretty good qualifying effort.
He really did. He got a little loose right there, though. You know, he just learned about what the side draft does. When you get that car too close to the car on the outside, you just flat lose your downforce. These are things that Sam has got to learn. Now, I'll guarantee you one thing. He goes back in that corner the second time, he'll go, hey, man, I'm not doing that there no more. I'm going to make this pass in the middle of the corner instead of trying to make it on the exit or trying to make it on the entry. And if you do that, you got to give yourself a little room away from the guy. Let's take a look at this replay. Okay, take a look at this. Now, see how close he gets to the 47 of John Wood just for a minute. Rear end popped along. He learned a little something right there, guys.
Sam Hornish lost about 4 spots with that little wiggle a moment ago. Juan Pablo Montoya able to get by. He's another one of the rookies and former Indy 500 winners. And here's a pretty good battle between Dodge and Toyota, the 9 car. That's the car that won here last year with Casey Kane, being passed now by David Rudiman.
Tell you what, that Toyota's got big horsepower. You just saw a little while ago all that sun going down the back straightaway into turn 3. As those drivers are negotiating the entry of turn 3, they got to watch that sun, and the spotters have got to help them. But as you saw, guys, as soon as they made it through those, where that sun was coming through the billboards over there, they got where you could see again. And that's the Mr. Feelgood when it comes to the driver. Woo, here comes the track back again. They're liking that part.
Yeah, David Rudiman had a great car in practice. He didn't get a very good qualifying run. He's moving his way up through here. It's going to be neat to watch him coming up through the pack.
Yeah, Rudiman already up to 13th position. So a good run early on for the Aaron's Dream Machine. Here is David, who basically is going to run the entire season in this series and try to run as much as he can here and also run full-time in Nextel Cup. Let's check in with Dave.
And, Jerry, you guys have been talking about Toyota horsepower. That is one of the things that David Rudiman noticed most about his ride this year, being able to pull out and pass cars, just like he did with the 9 car of Scott Riggs. He couldn't do that last year with his car. He can do it now, and all the Toyota drivers are talking about it. We can pass people with horsepower. Alan?
Well, Scott Riggs, right after he was passed by David Rudiman, came on the radio. Rusty, you can help us with this. He said, I'm having to hold too much wheel in it all the way through the corner. What do you think?
Well, that could mean too many things. I mean, there's 2 things it could mean. It could mean the car's losing the front end, he doesn't have any front grip, or he's holding on to it for dear life because that baby's loose.
Yeah, he probably means his car is pushing, meaning it won't turn. When he turns the steering wheel, the car just kind of wants to go straight.
You know, this first run is real important, guys. They need to run at least 30 or 40 laps so they can tell their crew chiefs what's going on with this car. Because, like I say, you can practice all you want on the racetrack. You can make 20-lap runs, 30-lap runs, and it's nothing like having the whole 43-car field out there running side by side, stirring up all this turbulence. So after this first run, they're going to be talking to those crew chiefs, putting some wedge in, changing some air pressure, stuff like that to make it better.
You see some of those guys already working that outside groove coming off turn 2. That 9 car using that for momentum. He's probably chasing his car up there a little bit, but that's the way he's able to keep up.
Well, great NASCAR Busch Series action. We are in the early laps here at California Speedway. It is stop number 2 of 35 in the NASCAR Busch Series. Our live flag-to-flag coverage coming to you on ESPN2. For more information, go to NASCAR.com for updates on what's happening here in the race. Guys, lap 14 of 150, these drivers were talking about 2 problems early on. One was the fact that the sun's in their eyes going into turns 1 and 2. I mean, how do you adapt for that? I mean, what can you do? I mean, you obviously can't wear sunglasses.
Jerry, the guys that have been here, and I'll take a look at this shot right out of the car. This is what the drivers are seeing. It's really hard to negotiate that. Boy, it's blinding sun, then all of a sudden, whew, that gets better. What you got to do is tape the windshield down. Some guys have done it. If you look at the extreme left-hand part of the screen here, you see a little bit of tape coming down there, and they're trying to bring the tape down so the sun doesn't shine so bright in their eyes. Some guys are running smoke shields and having goggles under their lenses that are clear. A lot of different driver techniques, but one thing for sure, they all know they're going to have to encounter this, and it's up to each one of them to figure out how to maneuver around that sun problem.
Yeah, it looks like early in the race, these guys are going into that blind situation. Need to give these guys just a little bit more room, maybe another foot or 2, just to make sure they don't run into somebody. I mean, right there, I don't know how they can see each other, not run into each other going in the corner.
Yeah, we'll throw 200 miles an hour in it, too. They're going fast. And look at all the debris on the window, all this oil and tire rubber and stuff. Tell you what, folks, just imagine you driving your car in blinding rain at 200 miles per hour. That's what these drivers are basically up against. That's the vision they got going into turn 3. And trust me, you know as well as I do, that's not good.
Great onboard camera shots from our high-definition onboards as Jeff Burton decides, you know what, Toyota's let enough. I think it's time for a Chevy to move toward the front. Here comes the Holiday Inn Chevrolet on the inside, and Burton will slide on the bottom groove and take that spot away.
Yeah, it looks like Dave Blaney didn't give him much trouble there. He just let him take that lead, and he's going to kind of feel his car out, and he's going to check out Burton and see where he's running.
Well, let's stay with the 29 car for just a little bit right now. I want to see his line because I believe he's starting to work the top of the racetrack in certain parts. Let's take a look here. He enters really high. He's way up in the top. About a lane. Well, boy, great late entry, Andy. I mean, when you can stay that far out and bring your car all the way to the bottom of the racetrack, great indication of a good handling car.
Yeah, that's a great handling race car, and that's what you have to do at a track like this. You got to do that, what I call a late arc or late entry, where you can turn that thing in there real wide, pull it right down to the bottom of the racetrack, right in the middle of the turn.
Well,
just like
29-year-old Jeff Burton is our in-race reporter. We'll be able to talk with Jeff back and forth, as well as his crew chief, Pat Smith. Right now, he is our leader at California Speedway. Back with more live coverage in a moment. And beautiful aerial coverage of California Speedway here in the early nest, brought to you by our friends from Goodyear, helping NASCAR drivers get to the finish line for the past 25 years. Well, Jeff Burton is in a hurry to get to the finish line. He has taken the lead and begun to pull away by about 2 seconds over Dave Blaney. But there have been some cars that are coming up from the pack and are hustling their way toward the front. Among those that have started toward the back of the pack is Tony Stewart. And guys, it was no surprise at all that Tony Stewart in this car, and the 18 car for Joe Gibbs Racing, would be coming in a hurry. Tony qualified back toward the back of the pack, and it started in 23rd position, and now he is being shown in 9th spot. Well, as we check in his pits with Alan Bestwick.
Hey, Doc, interesting story about this race car and Tony Stewart. He does not normally drive for Joe Gibbs Racing in the NASCAR Busch Series races. This is a new car that they built with a few developments on it aerodynamically to try and help the back end grip on the car. They fought this car all weekend in practice. Couldn't get the back end to hook up. Tony told me just before the race, we've thrown everything at it. I'm not sure we're going to be able to. Yet, since the start of the race, started 23rd. He's worked his way up into the top 10 now, and Tony just reported to the team that he can pretty much make the car behave as he wants it to in the corners, depending on what he does with the pedals. And I would imagine, guys, that's a very comfortable feeling. You know, you can make the car do what you want it to with your left and right feet.
Well, it's nice when you can take a car and maneuver it. I mean, when he's talking about the pedals, he's talking about trail braking a little bit. As he goes in the corner, he'll be on the brake a little bit. He'll back steer the car a little bit. He'll work the brake pedals, work the throttle. A lot of times, the way these rear suspensions are designed on these Busch Car National cars, they call them truck trailing arms in the back. The more you pick the throttle up, you can get more forward bites. So he can pick the throttle up. He can try to get all hooked up. But he's running in a Harvick right now. That's his next victim right in front. And Tony's got that car working good on the bottom and the top of the track.
All right, Kevin Harvick, there is the 33 car, the Road Loans machine for Kevin Harvick. And, of course, he had a dream weekend last weekend, Daytona, not only winning the NASCAR Busch Series opener, but coming from back in the pack, picked those last couple laps in 7th spot to win the Daytona 500. Now, speaking of back in the pack, earlier in the day, the youngest driver in the field, Steve Wallace, was the best qualifying Dodge. He qualified 8th overall in the Home Life Communities Dodge in his 20th career start, but he had to start at the back of the pack because they had broken part of the front valence. And here is Steve Wallace in the Home Life Communities Dodge moments ago. Watch this action with Juan Pablo Montoya.
I'll tell you what, this is classic rookie stuff right now. He's learning the same thing. It's Sam Hornish is learning that these cars get really deathly loose when you're side by side. I've told him. And Andy, it looks like a little problem with the hood. It looks like the hood is caving down in the front of a little bit, like maybe it's broke a brace underneath of it.
Caution's out for debris in two.
All right, for more on the 66, let's check in with Mike Massaro.
Well, Jerry, it seems like there might be a little bit of a disagreement between the 66 team and NASCAR. I've been told that because they replaced the front valence after qualifying, it broke off in qualifying. As you saw, the 66 had to go to the back of the field. Well, the 66 team is claiming that they asked permission of NASCAR before they did it, and what they were told, according to the team, was that they would not be penalized. As you can tell, they were. So it seems like right now there might be a little bit of tension right now in the 66 camp.
Well, whenever you ask for permission to do something, NASCAR says okay, then they come back. I don't know what to think about that. Although the rule has always been if you change anything on the car after qualifying, you go to the back of the pack. So I was surprised when that air dam broke off that NASCAR said they could go to the front. Right now the car's running pretty good. He's picked up about 10 positions, 15 positions, marched in the front, got a little loose beside Montoya there. They're going to have to stay working on the car to keep it running well throughout the day, though.
All right, Andy Petrie, second yellow of the day, lap 27. We saw the fuel window was 50 couple. What do you do?
Well, we're going to probably come down pit road right here. It's the first time we've had a chance to come in and work on the car. I'm sure all the leaders are going to come in, make a few adjustments, get a full tank of fuel. They don't want to be caught out here under a green flag situation where they'd have to pit.
Looks like your leader, Jeff Burton, low on the racetrack, will be coming on. And remember, it's a 150-lap race, so you're going to make 2 pit stops, or a minimum of 2 pit stops, and this can certainly adjust the fuel strategy.
Yeah, they're looking for new tires. These drivers are wanting new tires on the car. Like I said, they want to get gas in them. You might see some strategy here. 2 tires, 4 tires.
All right, we'll find out what they're going to do. Let's check in first with Jamie Little.
Well, Doc, 3-time winner of this race, Greg Biffle, coming in. He's actually happy with this car. One of the fewest drivers complaining about his car. They're just going to do 4 tires and fuel. That's Greg Biffle, made up 5 positions already. To Mike.
Kyle Busch describing his situation as a level 7 tightness. That's bad. Major changes on the car, air pressure, track, and wedge bar. Let's go now to Alan Bestwick.
Middle frame and the 3 boxes on the left. No changes for Casey Mears. Started 5th, moved up to 3rd. Just a 4-tire change and top off the fuel. Dave?
Jeff Burton, top of your screen. They talked about no changes, but then Jeff said, you know, we better learn what we can now. Let's make a slight air pressure adjustment in the right front tire because other people are going to make changes maybe and get better. We need to know now.
And adjustments on the car. There was the race off of pit road. You see Jeff Burton did not lose anything. How about Kyle Busch's bunch? They changed everything but the number on that car and still gained a couple of spots during the pit stop. Greg Biffle's bunch up 3 spots. Casey Mears back 3. Dave Blaney, and that's maybe a little more inexperienced for a NASCAR Busch Series crew compared to some of these Nextel Cup crews that are pitting the cars.
Yeah, you got a lot of Busch guys that don't change tires on the Cup cars, and they don't have the experience that some of these crews do. But look like you may have seen maybe 1 or 2 of those cars get 2 tires to try to get track position. If you were going to do that, this would be the perfect opportunity. Early in the race, we've only run about 25, 30 laps, and this would be the time you want to try it.
Well, our Aaron's Lucky Dog free pass goes to Brad Keselowski, the 23-year-old second-generation driver, will get back on the lead lap by virtue of this caution for debris. When we come back, we'll wave the green flag once again at California. Welcome back to California Speedway. We'll remind you there's more racing later tonight with the NHRA Powerade Series at the Checker Shucks Cragen National. Join Paul Page and analyst Mike Dunn for the CarQuest Auto Parts Winter Nationals right here on ESPN2. Qualifying at midnight Eastern. Finals coverage tomorrow at 7 o'clock Eastern. For more information, log on to ESPN.com. Great NHRA action coming your way. Let's listen in to the Steve Wallace crew.
Keep on digging. We're good. Right rear tire looks good here, Steve. The right rear tire looks good. Left front looks good, and right front looks good. Tire wear looks pretty good right here. Get a reading on everything else here and go from there.
All right, that's Spotter and Bryant Frazier there on the left of your screen talking to Steve, making him feel comfortable as you can. It's important when the young driver gets comfortable at a racetrack which is very, very difficult to get a hold of. Coming down for the restart, once again, Jeff Burton after the pit stops will lead them down to the green flag. And by the way, Steve Wallace stayed out during that caution early on to lead a lap and then pitted late. Here's a challenge, Kyle Busch. By the way, it's Mike Wallace in the 7 car, the Geico car that stayed out to lead a lap under this previous yellow and then came in with a late pit stop. Great side-by-side action, Kyle Busch, and they made all those adjustments on the car, and whatever they've done for that level 7 tightness has worked.
Looked like they maybe moved down to a level 3 or 4, but it sure did work good. His car looked great going in the corner right there underneath the 29 of Jeff Burton.
You know, he was qualifying. We talked about how low the front of his car was and how high the back of it was. That's the goal they're trying to do, guys, is get as much wedge, much angle in that body to get all the downforce they possibly can. And some are good and some are bad. But look at Kevin Harvick. Man, shoots right underneath Kyle Krisloff, right in front of Dave Blaney. He's got a hot rod himself, guys.
Man, I'm telling you what, that guy drives with a lot of confidence. You take him 3 wide, 4 wide, doesn't matter.
Tell you what, if I won the Daytona 500 and I won the Busch race last time, I'd have a lot of confidence too. But, you know, Kevin is just so good. His car, this Road Loans car he's got some new sponsors on there. This is his own team. He's driving with a lot of pride. He really wants to do a good job for his crew back at home. His shop's beautiful. He's put his heart and soul in his own race shop, so he's really loving driving his car.
Confidence, pride, and just a little bit of frustration right now. They had a little trouble on the right rear tire during that pit stop, and Kevin lost a couple of spots. Now, remember last year at Charlotte when he clinched the championship, they had major trouble on the pit crew. He talked about firing everybody. Well, he didn't fire everybody. There's a few guys left from that team, and they added some more this year. So working through pit crew issues, and just a slight one on that stop for Harvick.
But he is setting sail here, and after, as you said, Rusty, when you have the kind of weekend he had at Daytona, anything is possible. They got to go out and buy a couple lottery tickets.
Oh, man, I tell you, this guy, he's just, you know, I'd like to be in his shoes. I think everybody would like to be in Kevin Harvick's shoes right now because he's just had such a great week and such a great last year. But, you know, you talk about pit crews, not having a good pit stop, not having a good pit crew. You know, Andy, it's hard, I would think, to get these guys because they always want to get on the Cup guys. They want to be Cup pit crew members. For the Busch guys to get the good guys, it's a little tougher, and because of that, sometimes they get slower pit stops.
All right, riding along here with Matt Kenseth, the 3-time winner. You look at ahead in front of him, that is Tony Stewart. And these 2 cars, Stewart and Kenseth, being shown in 5th and 6th, and they have moved right in on Casey Mears' car 24.
Yeah, this racetrack's going through what I call that transition phase, and these guys are trying to adjust their cars. I wouldn't be surprised to see the winner of this race coming from back in the pack right now because they just don't have their car just like they want it for the end. We look at Carl Edwards diving under the 14 of Kyle Krisloff.
And I'll tell you, that's a tight crowd right there. Boy, the tough spot is right there next to where Steven just went through. That's a spot where the track falls apart and the banking falls over. I know what I meant to say, folks. And that is a real loose spot. That's where you just saw Sam Hornish about to spin out. That's where you saw Montoya and Steven having a problem. Got to be careful at Exeter turn 2.
Yeah, this is 20, 21st, 22nd along in here as Steve Wallace trying to follow. A pretty good guy to follow, and Carl Edwards up through the field. And so they're making their way toward, or now inside the top 20 as you ride along with David Rudeman on the Aaron's machine. Rudeman started back in 15th, but now after the cycle of pit stops being shown in the 23rd position.
Matt Kenseth kind of on a march right here. I've been watching the monitor, and he's making some pretty good lap times. Just drives under Tony Stewart, starting to make his way to the front. You know he's going to get there sooner or later.
Yeah, you know Kenseth is going to be there. This guy is so consistent. It's just amazing. These Busch cars, he's been strong throughout his whole entire career. They're working the bottom side of the track a lot, I see, Andy. I wonder if just because of the fresh tires right now.
And for more on the 17 car, let's check in his pits with Alan Bestwick.
Well, Matt Kenseth trying to add another win here at this California Speedway to his career. Doc, he's got 3 NASCAR Busch Series victories here at this racetrack already. This is a race car that is race-proven. This is the car that he won the NASCAR Busch Series season finale in at the Homestead Miami Speedway last November. His crew has reworked the body a little bit. I talked with Matt before the race. He thought the car was pretty good. Waiting for the sun to go down, the conditions to change. They're hoping it comes to them. They made some big adjustments, though, on that last pit stop.
Yeah, very good point, Alan. This car, and what a way for Kenseth to finish the 2006 season, winning back-to-back. Whoa, right in the middle here, it's a Hornish sandwich with Edwards saying, I think I'm going to back out. And got another young driver on the outside.
Doesn't look like Sam Hornish is going to back out.
And I'll tell you what, Hornish has got himself in a hornet's nest back there. I'll tell you what, with Reagan on the outside, you got Carl Edwards driving it in 3 deep on the bottom side of the track. That's a bad position for Hornish to be in, but he gathered it up. You got to hand it to him. Now, Carl Edwards, he had to go to the back of the pack after he spun, lost that right front tire. He's been marching himself right back up to the front, too.
Yeah, give a call to the Hornishes guys. I mean, what a great job they have done dialing this car in. Matt Gimbel and company, his car running awfully well, starting to move up toward the front.
Yeah, we saw him slip early. His car kind of got out from under him. After he recovered from that, he kind of settled in there, filled his car out. Now he's starting to move up to the front. He's looking pretty good right now.
Yeah, here comes Carl Edwards in the 60 car on the outside. Well, we saw the 10 car early on as our pole sitter be one of the strongest cars in the first few laps. But, guys, it looks like there are some troubles now as we check into our pit studio with Tim Brewer and Brad Daugherty.
Yeah, it seems as if Dave had a tough pit stop. He lost 3 spots there and got shuffled back, currently running in the 7th position. But let's give a shout out to Dave Blaney, the 44-year-old Hartford, Ohio driver, who a lot of people may not know was the 1995 World of Outlaws Sprint Car champion. And this is a big deal for him. He starts on the pole. He's a good hard-nosed racer, real racer's racer. But right now he's struggling getting back to the front.
I'll tell you what, I was monitoring lap times a while ago when Burton took the lead. I mean, Blaney kind of laid over, beat him 7 tenths. After that, 3 laps later, he was still beating him 3 to 4 tenths. I tell you what, if that caution hadn't come out, Burton, he'd already checked out of here by now.
Well, we know he's got a fast car. He sat on the pole, and so you know they're just trying to get it adjusted and all that and trying to get it where they can get it faster just from a handling point of view.
Dave, more on Dave Blaney?
Hey, Andy, how good is a really good race car when it's back in traffic?
Well, you're right, Dave.
Sometimes not as good, and that's what's happened to Dave Blaney. Out front, that car was great. Back in traffic, they restarted 5th, and Dave said it just got tight back here. He lost 3 positions right away. He's gained 1 of them back. Currently runs in 7th, but in traffic, the car just will not turn like it will when it's out front.
Well, one thing I'm noticing, guys, the front end of Blaney's car down the straightaway was kind of high. It's not near as low as a lot of his own competitors. So, Andy, if that front air dam was off the ground, that's going to cause his car to push the front end. And look how high that thing is compared to the rest of the competitors. He's way up there in that right front corner. In my mind, he's just got the wrong setup in that car.
But as you mentioned at the beginning of the show, this track is going to change drastically. And the guys who are the leaders right now may not be the leaders when the sun goes down in the final 50 laps. This racetrack will change tremendously after dark. But right now, the guy they're chasing is the guy who led the most laps at Daytona 1 week ago, Kyle Busch, at the front here in California.
Let's look again at the race highlights in our Holiday Inn race rundown. It began with Sammy Hagar.
Gentlemen, please start your engines and line them up!
He lit the fire, and Curtis Davis soon was spinning out on the 3rd lap. Now watch from an onboard, the smoke and the sun that they had to battle. Jeff Burton caught the pace car. Dave Blaney took over the lead as he roared past Blaney. Number 29 then held on, but it was Kyle Busch, lap 32, the 5 car, rolling to the top. And now he is 3 seconds ahead of Burton.
We've said all along that Kyle Busch, he has got a very fast race car, and I think this is a big race for him. Coming out of Daytona last week, he had a great opportunity to win the Daytona 500. He missed the freight train that Kevin Harvick and Matt Kenseth created, though. So he comes into this weekend. He's very good at this racetrack. I think he could be the guy to beat.
Tell you what, you still come back to that clean air. The guy that moves out front, he's got the downforce on the front of that car, and it makes it very dominant on the lap tracker.
And Jerry Tony Stewart is on the move. He has climbed to the 5th spot.
Yeah, guys, Tony Stewart, who started way back in 23rd position, marched his way to the top 10 in the first 20 laps, and after those pit stops is gradually making his way toward the front.
Jerry, that last pit stop that came on lap 27, that was a real key stop. Those guys got to come in, make some key adjustments that needed to get done. They started the race, whether their car was losing a front or losing the back. They made some wedge adjustments, air pressure adjustments, and some of these guys that weren't running good earlier are starting to really pick up now. They got these cars better. And one of them, Carl Edwards, I mean, he was way in the back, all the way up in the 13th position right now. Edwards is flat making some tracks also.
All right, we are here lap 49, so we are a lap away from the 1/3 mark through this event. 300 miles on this 2-mile oval. Here is Kyle Busch in the Hendrick AutoGuard Chevrolet. Led 46 laps at Daytona last week prior to having a problem and having to call it a night. The 29 car, Jeff Burton is second. Mears, Stewart, Kenseth, Blaney. Paul Menard now being shown in the top 10.
Come on in.
And there is the 60 car. That is the Roush Fenway efforts for Carl Edwards. And Kevin Harvick is back on pit road in the 33 car.
Looks like he's got a right rear tire.
Might be a little low on that right side, guys. 10 away.
Yeah, right rear tire. Dave?
And Jerry, his car had gone to the tight side, would not turn, and that's what can happen sometimes when you start losing air in the right rear tire. As the crew told him, the spotter told him, you've got a right rear flat. Kevin radioed, I guess that's why my car was so tight. 4 tires to be changed under green. He loses all kinds of track position.
All right, Kevin Harvick going back on the racetrack. He had just pitted about 15 laps ago. There is a car getting loose right in front of Carl Edwards, and then suddenly he just has to pull it down across the track and head for the pit road.
Jerry, I started saying anybody can hold on to a car at 200 miles an hour going into turn 3 with a right rear flat's got to be pretty good. But I tell you, when you saw that car doing what I call the death wobble, now he's a couple laps down, man, he's going to have to drive his brains out to get back up there and try to get the lucky dog now.
Yeah, that's when you're glad you got a veteran race car driver in there to save that thing. When that tire went down, he was able to catch it, feel it quick enough that he didn't wreck it.
And I'll take a look at our Dish Network telemetry on board with Kevin Harvick after just getting the service from Dan Steelman and company on pit road. Wheel 3, he is hard in the throttle and backs out, just taps the brake. As we check in once again in the Kevin Harvick pits with Dave.
And Jerry, as hard as Kevin Harvick can be on his guys, he radioed back to him and he said, nothing we can do about that, guys. Trying to encourage them that they're still in this thing. If they can just get those laps back.
Well, it's early in the race right now. I mean, it's not over yet. He can get those laps back through staying on the racetrack, manipulating the strategy, things like that. It needs to get that lucky dog, get back in the hunt. You know, Kevin's not a quitter, and then it's so early in the race right now that I feel confident that if he keeps going, he can get it back. Right now, with his fresh tires, he's just flying around this racetrack. He's one of the quickest cars in the track.
Yeah, I got a question for Rusty Wallace. As you saw Kevin run down into that corner, he had that throttle matted, and then you see him lightly tap the brake. Why does he have to do that at all? Is that setting the nose of the race car? I mean, couldn't he just come off the throttle a little bit instead of tapping the brake and drive it through the corner?
Well, Brad, this is a D-shaped racetrack. If you notice, you come down the front straightaway, it's a real smooth entry into turn 1. They don't need near as much brake going into turn 1 as they do in turn 3. So you're going to see the cars using much more brake coming out of that back straightaway because the corner's tighter, and they got to slow it up more. Now you see the front straightaway speeds a little while ago approaching 200 miles per hour. Kevin Harvick's car approaching 9,100 RPMs a little while ago on those fresh tires. And I'll tell you what, when you see those high RPMs, there you go, 91. Good job, Andy. Almost 199 miles an hour. This cat is up on the wheel. He's mad. He's a couple laps down. He's going for it.
Yeah, these guys might just use this to rally the team and be able to try to overcome this obstacle and win the race.
And remember now, folks, there is a free pass if he can become the first car a lap down. He is actually 1.7 laps, just under 2 laps behind the leader. But he is driving for what he's worth to try to get in front of Keselowski, the 23 car, which would put him the first car a lap down. If indeed the yellow would come out, he would get the free pass.
He's on a mission. You know he's going to catch Keselowski. He's one of the fastest cars on the racetrack. Look at this, 3 wide. Splits these two. And that boy's on the wheel.
Now, guys, did you see that shot just a little while ago of where the track had so much rubber buildup on it, a lot of black streaks? That's what this racetrack does. And, man, I'll tell you what, this is one slick joint to race on because of that.
Well, Kyle Busch likes this racetrack. He became the youngest NASCAR Nextel Cup winner in history. At the age of 20, a couple of years ago, winning here. He wants to win a Busch Series race here today. Back at California Speedway, NASCAR Busch Series action here at Fontana. We are under yellow for the third time in the afternoon, and the crew members are perched on the wall. That's the reason for the yellow flag. 28-year-old Eric McClure had a right front tire go down in the corner, and that's the result. The right side of his hefty Chevrolet completely flattened.
As he goes in our turn 3, boy, he couldn't hold on. It just went down on. Must have run over a piece of debris, blew that tire out. And, you know, these cars have got interliners in all 4 tires, but at that angle, on that speed, when you lose that tire, man, even though you got an interliner, there's no control in that car. Those interliners at a place like Daytona or Talladega, if you lose them in the straightaways, and if you have a problem in the straightaway, it can save you. But, boy, when you barrel that baby off in the corner and you lose that thing, you just hold on right now. Thank gosh for these soft walls and those good seats these guys got, because it really helps them.
Yeah, we have the car of tomorrow coming out in March at Bristol, but some of the innovations they've already been able to use in the NASCAR Busch Series cars by putting some of that energy-absorbing foam. Of course, you mentioned the soft walls, the Hans devices, a lot of things have been added to make these cars much more safe inside. All right, here are the 3 cars we'll be following on pit road here momentarily. Kyle Busch, Jeff Burton, and Casey Mears. And we'll see who can come on and off pit road in a hurry. As they come down pit road, we'll check in first with Jamie Little.
Well, Doc, the last pit stop for number 16, Greg Biffle, he gained 4 positions. Now they are going to make some adjustments to this car. He said it was a bit loose. They're going to tighten it up with an air pressure adjustment, a wedge adjustment, 4 tires, and full fuel for the winner 1 year ago here, Greg Biffle.
That the changes they made to Kyle Busch's car last time around have helped. On a scale of 1 to 10, he says it's now just a 2 level of snug. It was 7 before, so the car's gotten better. One product of that might be the clean air. Alan?
Little extra hesitation on the right front on the Casey Mears car. They wanted to check and see if they needed to knock a brake duct away from the inside of the tire. Dave?
Middle of your screen, Jeff Burton now leaving pit road. 4 fresh tires. They took air out of the right front last time. Jeff said that half pound you took out felt like 4.5 pounds. Way loose. As Burton tries to win the race off of pit road, they put they did a track bar adjustment to try to get that car tightened back up.
All right, great frantic pit work by these guys all up and down pit road. And here is the race off of pit road at the stripe.
Yeah, Jeff Burton's got a great crew right there. You saw them all amped up, really working hard. Talked about taking a half a pound out of the right front tire, made the car go extremely loose. I'm real surprised that a half a pound did that much. I don't expect that to happen.
And I told you he was hustling to get back at the lead car 1 lap down, and it paid off. The 77 car of Curtis Davis gets the Aaron Lucky Dog free pass. He is back on the lead lap in the Dollar General Chevrolet. 3rd caution of the afternoon. Green flag when we come back to California Speedway in a moment.
Traffic ahead.
Incredible. You found a golf course near the conference. Awesome Chinese. Now you find me a way around traffic. I love you.
Turn around. Every now and then I get a little bit lonely and you're never coming around. Take Market Street exit.
You're right. We'll just keep it professional, you know?
Go everywhere, find everything. Fall hard for the new Wear 2 GPS at Avis.
This aerial coverage is brought to you by Goodyear, helping NASCAR drivers get to the finish line for the past 25 years. Speaking of tires, Mr. Brewer.
Hey, I'll tell you what, you know, Rusty, he made that comment a while ago. You know, Kyle Busch came in, changed a half a pound of air pressure. Hey, what else you changed? 4 tires. Hey, man, they got good characteristics just like people. Some's good, some's bad, you know. The other thing you changed, 4 tires, brother.
Let's go back to Jerry and the gang as we get ready for the restart.
All right, guys. The tires do vary. They look the same, but they are. I mean, from set to set, you can get them to some you like and some you don't.
They are. They're always different. You know, you think they're all made the same. They're all made in one factory, but, you know, they're all different. You come down pit road, get you another set of tires, you go back out, and you got a different car.
Paul Menard has done a great job. Let's give him a shout out. He came in 5th place, comes out in 3rd. He's the highest finishing non-Cup driver last year in the point series and got a win at the Milwaukee Mile. Paul Menard looks like he's got a fast, hot rod, Rusty Wallace.
Well, I'll tell you what, Paul Menard's looking great out there right now, guys. The next guy I'm taking my eye on, I'm going to keep an eye on, is Kevin Harvick, though. He is on the inside. He's the first guy going for the lucky dog. Now, I think Kevin can do it now because you know he's going to be driving real hard. And going back to those tires, look, these Goodyear tires are great tires. Each individual one of them has its own spring rate. If they put a spring rate on the right front of Jeff Burton's car that was a little soft, a little less rate, that could have made that car get loose like it was also. These drivers and crews are talking about this before the race starts. They inventory all their tires, and they inventory them by spring rates.
I can't wait to see what Kevin Harvick can do with Jeff Burton here on this restart. You know he's going to be on a mission to get this lap back.
Remember, they are teammates in Nextel Cup competition, although they are not driving team cars here tonight. The 29 car is owned by Richard Childress, and the car that Harvick is in, he owns himself. The pace car pulls away, and Jeff Burton will lead him down once again on the Holiday Inn Chevrolet. Burton has led 3 times for a total of 17 laps. Let's listen into their spotters.
Clear low, outside, outside.
All right, the cars come roaring past. Let's go full throttle and hear these Busch Series cars at full speed. Great action side by side. Tony Stewart on the inside of Paul Menard.
Coming inside, 17 coming inside. Still there, still there. Trying to sneak in the middle. Still inside, still inside. All clear, buddy, all clear. 5 coming with you.
All right, spotter talking to Jeff Burton, telling him that Kyle Busch is going to come with him, but these guys are side by side, Busch and Kenseth.
It's great racing for the lead. We saw Kenseth try to drive up on the inside of Jeff Burton in that 29 car. Probably got a little bit loose, and Jeff just stayed tough on the outside and maintained the lead. Matt did lead a lap, but now he's fell back to 3rd.
Andy Petrie, Brad Daugherty down here, the big ugly guy. I got a question for you. I'm looking at these race cars, and last week at Daytona, they ran about 3,000 pounds of spring in the front. But as I'm looking at these race cars, their attitude in the corners, it looks like they're almost diving the noses down in the ground. Is that coil binding that you had talked about? Can you explain that a little bit?
Yeah, that is what they call a coil bind setup, Brad. And they look quite different than they did at Daytona. If you watch the cars on the straightaway at Daytona, they didn't have this nose-down attitude. They run about 400-pound springs in the front, which would be about an 800-pound total across the front here. And they run these springs so soft that when the car goes in the corner, it just kind of collapses straight down on top of these springs, and it stays right there all the way down the straightaway.
As you watch the 10 car, Blaney began to make his way back toward the front. He was in the 8th spot, now being shown in 6th spot, having gone past Paul Menard and Casey Mears as he and you see now Mears and Menard are side by side. Back up front, here comes Kenseth on the inside.
Well, Jerry, these cars are a little squirrely right now. The air pressure on the 29 car's not up yet. You saw it sparking a little while ago, bottoming out. Jeff needs more laps on his tires to get them all built up to speed. We saw earlier that later in the run, he really gets going, but he's suffering early in the run right now because the air pressures are low. Now he's just fighting off the 5 car. He's fighting off the 17 car. Man, he feels like he's in a hornet's nest right now. He's holding on for dear life. But you know what? If you're going to have a fast race car, you got to go through this transition in order to get this thing up front and keep it up front, because he cares about the last lap. He doesn't care about what this thing's doing 5 laps into a run.
All right, let's show you again what happened to the driver who was our leader, Jeff Burton, a moment ago, going in the corner.
5 car gets on his tail. You see that? He gets him a little loose. He walks the tail a little bit. He's got to get out of the throttle. Lets a 17 and Matt Kenseth just shoot right past him. That's what you don't want to have happen. But that's what happened with the aerodynamic effect on these cars.
How about a great shot from above, Andy, from the blimp?
Well, you knew Matt Kenseth was going to get to the front. Here we are before halfway. He's finally done it. He just kind of sat back there and watched those guys race each other. When they wiggled each other, he said, okay, I'll just take the lead.
Great aerial coverage from our friends at Goodyear, giving this shot from high above California Speedway as you watch Kyle Busch again try to make the move. And here is Matt Kenseth in the Dish Network for it. Kenseth, of course, a 3-time winner here at California Speedway.
One guy that's holding his own right now is the 33 car, Kevin Harvick. He's in a position where he needs to be, just hanging out for that lucky dog. He doesn't need to get in a big hurry. He's the first guy to get this lap back right now if the caution will come out.
There's Greg Biffle. And back up front here is Matt Kenseth. Kyle Busch in second spot. Jeff Burton back in third. Biffle was fourth.
Jerry, we're starting to go through the track transition right now. The sun's down. The lights are on here at the Speedway. The racetrack's cooling off. This is the part Andy and I and the rest of us talked about all week long now about what this track's going to do. This place is very, very sensitive to temperature. Look for these cars to stop sliding around so much off of turn 2 when the grip comes in this racetrack.
Yeah, I'm going to be talking to my driver right now, and I'm going to tell him that the track is really cooling off. The sun's going down. And I want you to really examine your car. Tell me what it's doing so I can get ready to make a change when we make the next pit stop.
Faster wedge or something like that.
A little while ago, Tim Brewer talked about tires having different personalities set to set. Matt Kenseth just illustrating that by taking the lead. He had struggled with the handling of this car a little bit on the previous set of tires. He came on the radio a minute ago and told his crew, this set of tires is great. That's why we've taken off.
And back in 11th position, Sam Hornish Jr. And what a job he is doing on a very difficult racetrack. I'm impressed with Sam Hornish making a transition to one of the toughest tracks to adapt to early on.
Yeah, I'm very impressed with what he's done so far. His car started out real loose. He's really lucky to save it when it got loose off of turn 2 early in the race. We see it sparking, getting down on the racetrack. And he's starting to make some tracks. I've been watching him. He's moved up methodically ever since that little bobble early in the run.
And he's really starting to understand how to work his car. I mean, how to manipulate it on entry, on exit. He saw when he come off of turn 2, he got real loose. Hey, man, I can't do that again. Move up a little bit. Get out of the throttle. So Sam is one of the best drivers in the country at manipulating cars and understanding them and giving really good feedback to his crew. Now, look, I called the IndyCar circuit last year, Jerry. You and I both did. We got to watch Sam Hornish. We got to listen to him. We understand this guy is really detail-oriented. He's really into the chassis of the car, so he can explain what his car is doing to the crew chief probably better than most people.
Yeah, he is a remarkable talent. Will run 11 races in the NASCAR Busch Series. Also going to chase that 4th IRL championship, but he says he's really having a lot of fun here, learning very steeply with a learning curve here in Busch competition.
Also getting some very good advice from high atop the spotter stand, Jerry. One of NASCAR's all-time greats, Buddy Baker, continuing his role as a driver coach at Penske Racing on the radio moments ago to the Indy 500 champ.
But these guys are all over the racetrack. That's good patience. I like that a lot.
Oh, and here's Steve Wallace over in turn 2. His car has come around. The Home Life Communities Dodge has come to a rest, and that will bring out the 4th caution flag.
Get it going, bud.
Well, the good news is he doesn't have any body damage. He's got some flat tires. If he's careful getting back to the pits, he won't tear it up.
Looks like the left front is at least down, possibly the right front.
I didn't hit anything.
As you watch Steve Wallace.
Caught up here. I got 4 flat tires.
This is going to be a huge break for Kevin Harvick. He's going to get that lap back he lost. He's going to be right back in the game. He looked like he had a fast car, too, on that last run.
Now, put 4 tires on it, guys.
pounds down in the left rear here also. Good.
Brian Frazier and crew waiting for Steve to come down pit road and change all 4 tires. Let's see if we can see what happened. There's Bryant talking to his young driver.
Clear low. We'll get back up there. I got a smoke right here in front of him. Slow down, back it down. Back it down, low. Come low.
That's from Kenny Wallace's onboard camera. And again, looking across toward turn 2. And Steve did a nice job of getting the brakes and getting the car halted before it got into some contact with the wall. One more angle. Look across the racetrack.
Tell you what, this almost reminds me of what we saw with Carl Edwards. Barely missed the wall in qualifying by about an inch. How do you do that running that fast? You know, he dropped back about 4 positions before this spin, so evidently this car was getting really loose on him.
Here's the 33, Kevin Harvick. You heard Andy say he got the free pass. Now he is back on the lead lap, so watch out for Harvick. He is coming down pit road to make a quick pit stop. It will be a quick yellow, and we will line them up and go back to green flag racing action. Lap 75 in the books. We're halfway home. Back in just a moment. Back at California Speedway, working caution for the 4th time here this evening. And young Steve Wallace, 19-year-old driver, had run all the way toward the top 15, and the car spun. All 4 tires are flat. He came down pit road, and they left pit road, but now they've had to come back in and fix the front of the car. But the official standing in front of the car there is holding Steve Wallace 1 lap. He came flying off of pit road, and they say he was speeding on the exit.
Well, right now he's okay. Don't get nervous. He can get this lap back, get the lucky dog back. He left pit road, and he sped out of pit road. I'm sure the crew chief's hollering, go ahead, because they're thinking that what the rule is, you can speed out to beat the pace car, but you got to go the tail end, the longest line. I bet they never thought they were going to get a penalty, a 1-lap penalty.
Well, NASCAR reserves the right if they think there's a safety issue to issue a penalty, and I think that may be what happened here. I think they were talking about how fast he was on not only on pit road, but actually around some of the safety vehicles, and so they decided to take that lap back that he was trying to save.
And you saw the NASCAR official explaining to Brian Frazier, the crew chief, why he was going to be brought back in and held a lap. They want to go tell the crew chief so there's no misunderstanding about what they're going to do and why they were doing it.
This team has had incredible problems with the front air dams. The material they're using on the air dams is broke 3 times this week. It's breaking like glass. It's caused them to have to start tailbacking the race. It broke off a little while ago, so whatever Brian Frazier's doing with his team of fabricators, he needs to talk to them when he gets back and fix that problem.
He's just trying to argue his case with NASCAR right now, but I don't think he's going to win this argument.
Dude, that's like talking to City Hall. He better turn around and calm his driver down and get back after it, because he can get the lap back. There's no problem right there. He's in line to get that lucky dog.
All right, well, let's check out our NASCAR.com reset here. We are at California Speedway. NASCAR Busch Series action. Great news for NASCAR in Busch Series competition as Toyota takes the pole for the first time ever in NASCAR Busch competition at California Speedway. We have had 4 caution flags, the latest coming out just 3 laps ago, with a spin by Steve Wallace. Our current leader is a 3-time winner here at California Speedway and a former Nextel Cup Series champion, Matt Kenseth, in the 17 car. As the sun has set here in Southern California and the NASCAR Busch Series stars are set to shine. A 300-mile race. We are just beyond the halfway point, lap 77 being shown.
Okay, we got a little situation here where some of the guys at the back of the field came down, got some gas, got some tires. We saw Kevin Harvick get back on the lead lap with that free pass, and now he's got some work done on his car, got some new tires. This could actually be an advantage for some of these guys because the leaders didn't pit that time because they hadn't run very many laps.
And Rusty, this is the time you were talking about it at the early part of the afternoon, is once the sun goes down and it gets completely dark here, this racetrack will change drastically in certain spots.
It really will, Jerry. A lot of guys are experiencing a car that their car's getting tighter. They're losing the front end. And some of the guys we've been hearing are actually getting looser. So it really depends on the way these crew chiefs have got their cars set up. It's definitely changing. The cars aren't staying consistent, and these crew guys are having to adjust for it. You know, we get going green here. I want to show you the exit of turn 1 and 2. Actually, actually the rubber that's being laid down on a racetrack. Big streaks of black rubber on the restarts, and this is one of the tracks that happens at. Tim Brewer, you got more on that?
Yeah, I'll tell you what, Rusty, you know, giving the good tires in the back of the pack, that's all well and great, but hey, man, we've seen them cars really just truck on out of sight when they had that good clean air out front. So if I had my druthers, I'd rather leave that guy out and stay out front.
Yeah, but if you don't have the clean air like Kevin Harvick, he was going to start at the back anyway. He came in and got him some tires. That might help him later on.
Possibly so.
All right, Kevin Harvick fans, remember now, he is back on the lead lap. He is 33rd. He is the final car on the lead lap, as Matt Kenseth will bring him down out of turn 4 to retake the green flag.
Ooh. Spun the tires.
Gather it back in, the 23 car. Spinning the tires on the restart. Brad Keselowski, but Kenseth leads him down, and they stack him 3 wide in turn 1.
I'll tell you what, it's pretty easy to see when you spin the tires and on a restart. A lot of that comes from just not enough experience, knowing that you got to get the tires up to temperature, and he just about spun that car out. Guarantee he won't do it again.
You see Kyle Busch stalking Matt Kenseth. He had a fast race car, and he was trying to pass Jeff Burton earlier, and they kind of got into each other, actually got loose together, and Matt kind of went by him. It looks like the 5 car is going to be really strong right here.
You know, our Tim Brewer was talking about track position and getting that clean air. Matt Kenseth, he's in the best position right now. He's been a fast car throughout the day, and if he can just drive the wheels off that thing for about 3 laps and keep Kyle Busch behind him and keep that clean air, he's in good shape. You see Busch just stalking the heck out of him. Busch is working the high side, and if you can work the high side off of turn 2, you'll get that momentum down that back straightaway in order to pass that car.
And 1 car on the move is the 60 car of Carl Edwards going on the inside of Tony Stewart. Carl Edwards trying to start toward the back of the pack here because of a cut tire during qualifying. Carl Edwards starting back in 40th position. But for more, let's check in his pitch with Jamie Leonard.
That's right, Doc. If you do the math, Carl Edwards has passed more cars than any other driver. That's about 33. He's in the 7th position right now. And just like Rusty was talking about, his car started off real loose. They made some adjustments. Now it's getting tight. Right now, the track temp is about 60 and dropping, and the wind is picking up, guys. And, you know, earlier we talked about the Roush Fenway cars, and they have more wins here than any other team owner. Beware, the top 7 right now, there's 3 Roush cars on their way with Matt Kenseth leading the way, Doc.
All right, thank you, Jamie. And how about the man who is really on a mission, Bakersfield, California native Kevin Harvick in the 33 car. He's just picking them off one by one.
Yeah, that clean air is worth a lot, but I'll tell you what, those new tires are working for him.
What? I'll tell you what, you get to start the back right now. Look at Kevin, almost 195, 96, 97. Ooh, 200. Oh, I like that number. It's a big number. That looks good, doesn't it?
That's some feel good.
Into turn 1, that is some feel good. Kevin elected to put 4 tires on it, get that thing stickered up, fill it full of fuel, and then charge his way from the back to the front. At least he's got himself back in the lead lap right now, and he's back in contention.
If he keeps running like that, he'll have some clean air to run in.
And guys, he is working with those fresh tires, but he's not so concentrating on his own ride to wonder what might be happening with his other car. He asked about Curtis Davis in the 77. Hey, how's the 77? They told him, he said, okay, 10-4. And then he went to trudging around these guys and moving his way toward the front, guys.
All right, guys, Harvick has passed 7 cars in 3 laps, and now trying to go inside of the 90 car to make it 8 cars. And if I'm a driver back in the field, I'm going to follow this guy. There's Juan Pablo Montoya. He says, you know what? If I can follow it at 33, I might find a good way to get to the front in a hurry.
Boy, Jerry, you took the words out of my mouth. I was thinking the same thing. If I was Montoya, I'd hook up right behind Kevin Harvick and stay in his tracks. Let Harvick give him a little schooling about how to get around California. Now, like we know that Juan Pablo Montoya is one of the best drivers in the world, but we also know that he's got to get used to these cars and the different grooves that you have to run around a racetrack. You see Pablo Montoya stalking Stephen Light right now. Let's see where he takes his move. Looks like he's going to the inside. Ooh, Light comes down a little bit. Now, this is a real hairy part of the racetrack where you really get loose. You saw him take his left front tire going to the white line, back up. The 38 car, when 42 car had to slow up. You saw Jason Leffler able to gain a little real estate because of that problem that Juan Pablo just had.
Speaking of California drivers, Leffler in the Toyota trying to move on the inside of the 7 car of Mike Wallace. Jason Leffler, of course, started on the outside front row at Daytona last week and led the first couple of laps. We ride along with Jason and see what the Toyota's doing as he heads down the straightaway entering the corner. Can he get to 200 miles an hour?
You see, they're turning almost 9,000 RPMs on the backstretch, and that's the straightaway that's the shortest. They turn more RPMs on the front straightaway.
Jams that foot back in the throttle, and that throttle tracing goes all the way to full green. And 8,500, almost up to 9,000. And you talked about how much of a punishment this track was on engines.
Well, we were concerned going in. These guys have not had a lot of experience with the unleaded fuel that the Busch Series is running right now. A lot of guys were losing valve seats in the cylinder heads of the engines. That seemed like it stopped right now. But this track is one of the worst tracks on engine failures because of the high sustained RPM.
All right, and how about Jeff Burton making a move inside of Kyle Busch, and the Holiday Inn car goes to the bottom of the racetrack, and Burton takes over his second position. And now we'll see if Burton can set his sights on one Matt Kenseth. Matt Kenseth becomes our fifth different leader as he is leading the show. Side-by-side action again now as Kyle Busch says, well, you know, I'll let you lead a half a lap or run feet second for a half a lap. I'm going to try to come back and take it back.
Well, the 29 car, the air pressures are coming up. He's burning some fuel off like we talked earlier. And Jeff's car, the way it's set up, he just needs a little bit of time to get this thing going. Definitely, he's not the fastest car in a restart, the 17 cars. So that's one thing that he understands the car is doing.
All right, a Ford for Kenseth as the leader. Then you got three Chevys in pursuit. Burton, Busch, and Mears. Biffle rounding out the top five. 86 laps of 150 are complete. Back with more from California Speedway in a moment.
No room, that's for sure.
I thought I gave him room. I thought he turned down into me.
Back at California Speedway, heavy contact here brings out caution for the fifth time, and heavy damage to the Great Clips Toyota for Jason Leffler.
And it's pit road, guys.
He has the window net down.
Got the ambulance coming to you, Jay.
And here's Juan Pablo Montoya as he tries to get out of his car.
That one's hurt pretty bad.
These two guys were racing hard and got together, looks like.
Yeah, we heard Jason Leffler say, I thought I gave enough room earlier, and the crew guys come back and say, I thought you did too, but we're going to have to wait for the replay because, folks, you're seeing what we see. Okay, here we got it coming right now. Let's take a look at it because big crash. Okay.
That's Kenny Wallace, the 25 car in the middle between these two cars, 38 and 42.
Oh, hard. That's a hard lick right there. Saw the whole car come off the ground, back wheels.
So contact from behind by the 25 car, and the 38 just abruptly spins right across the racetrack in front of Juan Pablo Montoya. Okay, let's watch and listen.
Still outside. Still there. Still there. You all right, buddy? And
Yeah, it looks like Jason Leffler thought he was clear, came up, just not quite clear. Kenny Wallace, and boy, that's a hard impact.
Man, I tell you, when you get turned in a wall like that, that's unreal because he just didn't clear Kenny. He thought he had it cleared. And you know what? Who's that a hit on? Is that a hit on the sponsor or the spotter? Because these drivers, just with these carbon fiber seats and all this stuff, they can't see the right rear corner enough to move over. I don't know. I hate placing blame on anybody on that one, but it was for sure that he just didn't have Kenny Wallace cleared.
About 4 or 5 inches, and they would have had him cleared. And you heard Jason Leffler a moment ago say, I thought I had enough room. Okay, watch the left side of your picture. Watch him come into frame. There's the touch. Oh, and the whole back of the car comes up off the racetrack as he goes head first into that concrete wall.
Yeah, Jerry, that's a, man, you don't want to see a hit like that. That reminds me a long time ago with Dale Earnhardt, something like that. Man, that's a scary hit. But, hey, didn't clear Kenny.
Well, thankfully, these cars are built with so many safety precautions. What's left of the front of that Toyota will be picked up, and the Great Clips car has a sudden end to the night here at California Speedway.
Thanks for seeing us, DW.
Please, call me the Dream Father.
Dreamfather. Sadly, I must step aside as driver of the O'Aaron's Dream Machine. With respect, I ask you if I could have your driver, David Rudiman.
Michael, your family, he's yours.
Aaron's guaranteed lowest price on brand name merchandise with no credit check is an offer you can't refuse.
Mikey, someday I might need a favor, like driving the old Dream Machine.
Respectfully,
You can't refuse the Dream Father.
Ciao, Dream Guy. Come on, Root.
When you're about to do something this big, a little luck never hurts. Thanks for having us.
When you're shopping for a gift for your man, here's a few things not to get. Box of chocolates. I'll get hungry again. Silk boxers. Not if I lost a bet with the mob. This thing. You want to know what a guy really wants? I'll give you some hints. High definition. Very thin. Starts with a V. Ends with an Izio. That's right. A Vizio.
Now get a 37-inch LCD HD TV for only $8.99. Find out more at Vizio.com. Vizio.
If you're ever in an interview and are asked if you've had leadership experience, try not to smile. There's Strong, and then there's Army Strong. Find out more at goarmy.com/strong.
All right, reliability. Well, looks like a package is heading south on 995. It was shipped yesterday, it weighs 11 pounds, and it should arrive by 8:30 a.m. It's early. So how'd I know all that? Well, this is a smart label, and it knows everything about your package. And it's only from UPS. It's not reliability. It's UPS reliability. Oh, sorted in Philly.
Back at California Speedway, 60 laps to go. Pit stops. Jamie Little.
Greg Biffle is in. He ran over some debris. They're putting on 4 scuffed tires, guys, and he wants to free that car up a bit. He's going to take some wedge out and make an air pressure adjustment. Mike Mazzaro.
Alan Gustafson debating what to do. Only 19 laps on the set of tires they're taking off now. They're going to replace it with 1-lap scuffs. Alan.
Long debate by Matt Kenseth and his crew chief, Drew Blickensderfer. They're going to put on 4 older tires that have been previously run, Dave.
Jeff Burton's 29 car was loose but drivable earlier. The last run, he had more trouble handling it. They made some air pressure and chassis adjustments for Jeff.
Boy, how about Joe Nemechek coming on and off pit stop for the Nemco team, plus 15 spots. And there's Jeff Green, the former series champion in the 28 car, also having another great stop all the way. You got to believe they came in and just changed a couple of tires.
Yeah, they didn't have a lot of laps on that set of tires. It was a perfect opportunity to come in and try to gain some track position, and hopefully they can maintain that track position. They can't make it all the way from here, so they're going to have to make another pit stop. That's some good strategy.
All right, let's go back to this crash a moment ago, and this is unbelievable to watch the impact of Jason Leffler into this wall and the back of the car come up off the ground.
Sure. Jerry, you think you want to be a race car driver? There's no way, man. Look at this. You know, I've done this my whole life, but when I see those things, I don't want to be inside them. Brad?
Exactly why I played NBA basketball right there. I'll tell you, he turned that thing in. He's windshield deep. That's incredible, and it speaks to the safety of these race cars.
Yeah, these cars are 10 times safer than they were about 5 years ago.
All right, here, and the best news is both drivers walked away. Jason Leffler, A-OK, but this car is pretty well used up. All right, back at California Speedway, and this is setting up to be some kind of finish. The front 4 cars, Harvick, Light, McMurray, and Davis, did not pit. The 5th car in line, Joe Nemechek, was the first car off of pit road as the green flag is waved once again by Kevin Moss. Whoa, car spinning. That's Bobby Hamilton Jr. right side of your screen on the restart across the grass in the Ed Renzi car. The McDonald's drive through, and he will drive through the grass and head back toward turn 1. I think he might have gotten a little help from behind.
Well, the last caution, Brent Sherman got the free pass. This time it looks like it'll be Stephen Wallace because two quick cautions.
6 caution flag of the day as it comes right back out on the restart there as Bobby Hamilton Jr. was on the bottom of the racetrack and suddenly his car just abruptly turned the corner. So I think he might see if we can see if he got a little tap from behind. Whoop, he was passing another car and got hit.
It looks like he got tagged by Kyle Krisloff in the 14 car. Tell you, on these restarts, it's a really tough deal. A lot of guys don't get up to speed. Some get going quicker than others. A lot of times it causes problems like this.
Go low, go low, go low. Slow down, slow down, slow down, slow down, slow down. You're clear, you're clear, you're clear.
All right, that was the spotter talking to Kenny Wallace, who's driving the 25 car, the other Ed Renzi car. And the lucky dog free pass goes to the 66 car of Steve Wallace, puts him back on the lead lap. They had battled their way back to be the top car just 1 lap down, and now he gets to go back and on the lead lap. So now Steve has a chance to get back in the top 20. Kevin Harvick from a lap down, now shown as the leader. Back with a green flag, we hope, in just a moment. Well, darkness has descended on California Speedway, and it is about to light up with action here in the final laps of the NASCAR Busch Series event. Welcome back to Fontana, California. And one of the most violent impacts we have seen in quite a while happened a few laps ago. Now watch the 38 car of Jason Leffler just gets nudged by the 25. Boom, right into the wall, head on. The back of the car comes up in the air, and poor Juan Pablo Montoya had nowhere to go. Jamie Little?
That's right, and both drivers have been released. Jason Leffler took the brunt of that. Jason, what happened?
I don't know, 25 at Kenny Wallace, it just looked like he right-reared me watching the replay. And I don't know if he's trying to tuck in behind me, but Greg Clips Toyota was running good. We were off on pit strategy there, and you know, coming from the back of the pack on new tires. So that's a shame, but I don't know why. It was a heck of a hit. I thought it was going to hit a lot harder than it did, but that's racing.
Local boy, a lot of family watching, including his wife that's pregnant with his first child on the way watching on. Good news is he's okay. Now, Juan Pablo Montoya's second week in a row, a DNF for you, Juan. What happened?
He just got spun and I was in the wrong place at the wrong time. You know, it's a shame, you know. Whoever at Texaco Havlin Dodge did an amazing job. You know, the car was good. But, you know, that's one of the races. You know, we were making a little bit of ground. Reagan was weaving when we were trying to decide, and then I tried to get close to him. When he stopped, I moved fast to try to tell him, hey, stop, you're about to wreck me, and he went again and hit me. So there's a little bit of, you know, damage in the car there. They came in, we fixed it, and the car was running pretty good.
Steep learning curve. Juan Pablo Montoya continues to learn, guys. Let's go green.
All right, Jamie, thanks. Great hustle down there. Kevin Harvick, reigning series champion, will lead him down once again to the green flag. Now watch Joe Nemechek in the 87 car. He's the first car in that group up front that had pitted a moment ago, and he's going to be on a mission. But here comes the 29 of Jeff Burton on the outside. Kyle Busch and company hustling up.
It's showtime. These guys got to get to the front, try to get up there when they get that clean air.
Nemechek makes it 4 wide down on the bottom of the racetrack trying to make a move as you're right along with the 17 car of Kenza.
And Andy, a lot of you guys stayed on tires. They got one set of tires left. They're saving till late in the race, so they're out there on restarts with these older tires and sliding all over the place. That's where clean air comes into play. And Kevin Harvick's got it right now with those older tires, even on the car. But that clean air, even though he's got older tires, man, that's everything.
Jeff Burton has been able to weave his way through traffic to take the second spot away, but don't look now because that 5 car of Kyle Busch is running back to that high line again and trying to move in on Burton.
He's just running where they aren't. There's a lot of cars trying to crowd on the bottom. He just goes to the top, tries to pass them all.
'28 car, Jeff Green, back in the pack, making his way back toward the front, having a good run. Paul Menard in the 15 car. Here is Burton in the 29. His first start of the year in the Busch Series competition. He'll run 17 times. Let's check in the Burton pit with Dave.
leader, Kevin Harvick, Jerry, here's the deal. They obviously will have to pit one more time because they are out of sequence with everyone else, but they hope everyone else has to pit too. About lap 132, that's when the 33 would have to hit pit road and add some fuel to make it to the end of this event.
Yeah, David, looks like there's some strategies going on. I saw a lot of the guys from the back, probably back half of the field or more, or back third of the field come down and get gas. And these guys, like you said, Kevin Harvick, he can't go all the way, and neither can about 10 guys behind him. But there are some of those guys that are going to try.
Well, you know, Andy, if you're up front like Kevin Harvick is, you really can't afford to come down pit road and throw that track position away. But the guys in the back of the pack, man, they don't have anything to lose. So, hey, come on down, top it off, and maybe they get a caution flag and get the fuel mileage, you know. But, you know, if you do get a caution flag, they're going to use that last set of tires. This group right here looks a little tight right now. 88 cars, Shane Huppen and J.J. Yelly on the top side. But back to the tires. They got one set left. And they need to use them if the caution comes out, that's for sure. But if this thing goes caution-free, those guys that pitted, you know, in the very back of that field, they might win this race.
Those guys up front, like Kevin Harvick and Jeff Burton, those guys are counting on getting another caution. But those guys that came in for fuel are hoping we don't get one.
Here's the 16 of Biffle in behind the 24 of Casey Mears as they battle for position. That is 5th and 6th. Behind him, Stephen Light doing a heck of a job in the 90 car for Robert Yates was trying to hold on the 7th spot. Now he slides up, and Carl Edwards takes that spot away in the 60.
Stephen Light's team using the strategy of just staying out on the racetrack, not pitting while these other guys did. And he's hoping to just maintain his track position. He's losing a few spots here and there, but he's staying up in the top 10. Got some great side-by-side racing here with Greg Biffle driving up under Casey Mears. Carl Edwards stalking him.
I tell you, we talked about how slick this racetrack was, you know, before the race started. It was going to get real slick. You see all the black marks going into turn 1. Black marks everywhere. That's how the cars are actually laying rubber down and sliding around. I was talking to Brett Doherty earlier in the week, and I said, Brett, this track gets so slick. As you see Edwards getting it past Biffle right there. But I was telling the track gets so slick, it's like you on the basketball court, Brad, running around on tennis shoes. Then all of a sudden they make you put white socks on and do the same thing, buddy. There's not much grip under that situation.
And Carl Edwards driving under Greg Biffle. Carl Edwards in the 60, Greg Biffle in the 16. Here comes Tony Stewart up behind Greg Biffle. We're riding with Tony Stewart.
No surprise whatsoever that these guys are moving toward the front as the laps wind down. And remember, Kevin Harvick, our leader, was one of the cars. As you see, Tony Stewart started back in 23rd spot and has now run easily up toward the top 10. But Kevin Harvick is one of the cars that did not pit last time and is on a little bit older tires. And as this track is starting to get a little slippery, watch Harvick even have his troubles.
Well, his car got really loose here in the corner, and he had to go up and catch the car and lost not one spot, but lost about 3 spots. Here we are inside on his onboard. We see, from Jeff Burton's onboard, we see Kevin Harvick get loose and just have to chase it, try to save it, not wreck it.
Inside, one more coming.
You know, it's pretty strange when a leader is leading and gets loose and almost spins out. We saw last week at Daytona where Tony Stewart in the 500 just lost it leading the race all by himself. And Kevin was telling me earlier before the race, he said, you know, Rusty said, this racetrack generally gets tight for most people, but for me, it seems like it gets looser as the day goes on.
Here's the 5 car of Kyle Busch, who led the most laps at Daytona at 46 laps. And a little bit of some sparks and a little puff of smoke coming off the back of the 17.
Yeah, Matt Kenseth just stalking these guys. You know he's going to be up front when the race is over, and here he comes. He's so quiet about it, he just sneaks his way up there.
And Harvick is being challenged back there for position by the 24 of Casey Mears, a couple of Bakersfield, California natives.
That's what happens when you got those old tires. You just cannot compete with these guys with fresh tires. And Kevin's just holding on for dear life right now. But I believe he's got a set left in the pits. And if this caution will come out pretty soon, he can utilize those babies and get that car back up in the front where it probably needs to be.
Yeah, NASCAR's Busch Series rules are you're allowed total of 6 sets for the weekend. As you see now, Biffle going by Harvick. And the 33 has really got his hands full, Dave Burns.
He does, and after Jeff Burton made that pass on him, he said kind of sarcastically, little loose coming off that turn. Rusty, they do have that set of tires left, a set of sticker tires at the wall for when Kevin Harvick does pit.
Dave, that's great information. That is the ace that's up Kevin Harvick's sleeve right now. He's got one good set of good years left to put on the car. The question is, will he get a yellow flag to come in and use it? We'll find out when we come back.
That's Rusty Wallace, amazing driver. He's also my third cousin once removed. That's his brother, Mike Wallace, driver of the Geico Chevrolet. I can see why Geico sponsors Mike. And when he does well, people will think about saving money on car insurance. Whereas if I were driving that car, all they could think about is, there goes Lauren Wallace, greatest thing that ever climbed into a race car. Poor fella, he has no idea.
Geico, 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance.
We welcome you back to the California Speedway. 39 laps to go. Jeff Burton still on the lead ahead of Kyle Busch and Matt Kenseth. They've had the speed all day long. We're set for a great ending to this. Now, Tim Brewer, you're down there with our Chevy car. Tell folks about this last hectic pit stop.
Hey, what's going to happen, Brett? When the crew chief, he gets in his last set of tire mode here, he's going to ask the rear tire chain to go ahead and change that right rear tire. He's going to come around and hit a left rear tire. What the guy's going to do, he's going to go down here and go. I reach in there and pull his rubber out. As soon as that guy does that, he's going to take about 30 pounds of spring rate out of that right rear tire. Make the car a lot freer. So hopefully we win this race.
And you know what? Tim Brewer's pretty doggone good. He did that for a lot of years with Junior Johnson. And you can see our auto tech search word for more information. Log on to ESPN about our Chevy cutaway car and all the specifics. And when you pull that rubber out, as Tim mentioned, you're taking about 30 pounds of spring weight away effectively for the car. What are you doing?
Well, it's just making that spring softer. And what it does is it maybe just takes a little bit of weight off that left rear tire, and then it makes the car where it's a little freer. They make that adjustment on that car the last part of the race when the track's getting tighter. That's the adjustment you want to make.
Hey, I tell you, let's go back to Tim Brewer, man. Brewer used to be one of the best in the world at changing tires. I'll tell you, he hasn't lost it at all. And, you know, Tim was talking about pulling that rubber out of the left rear. Now, look, if a guy's tight and his car's not handling, Tim just showed everybody how fast you can pull that tire off, pull that spring rubber out, get that car handling better, and hardly no time. That was a great presentation. Look at this, 3 wide down the back straightaway, Jared.
All right, in the middle is the 99 car. We got a Chevy, a Ford, and a Toyota all right there. The 88 car, Shane Huffman, and the Navy machine, as he will take charge of that threesome. In the middle, of course, is David Rudiman and the Aaron's Dream Machine for Michael Waltrip. As you ride along with David Rudiman.
Now look at the draft on the front straightaway. You saw Rudiman really catching up to Shane Huffman. That's what they were talking about earlier. It's hard to really pass a car in the draft in the corners, but you get a lot of speed down the front straightaway because you're approaching over 200 miles per hour. Now this back straightaway, not much happens here because it's such a tight corner exiting the corner. Can't get that momentum, Andy.
Yeah, it looks like that Navy car's handling pretty good getting off the corner of Shane Huffman, and David Rudiman lost a little ground getting off of turn 2.
Now let's watch him here again. Let's see if we can, if our cameras stay on here, let's see if Rudiman can run Shane back down. 174 miles an hour off the corner. You can see it climbing. And you know you're catching it when the car in front of you is getting bigger. 198. We've seen higher, Jerry. We've seen 200 today.
As you look at the Shane Huffman car in front of him, remember that Shane Huffman's going approximately 200 miles per hour, but that's nothing compared to what he's going to be doing in a couple days when he jumps in the Blue Angels and rides with the Navy flight demonstration team at some 700 miles per hour. Here's a pretty good battle here between the 18 car of Tony Stewart as he's gone by the 60 car of Carl Edwards.
And that was for the 6th spot. So Tony Stewart's starting to make some ground here. He knows it's time to start to pay. They're going to pay off here in about 34 laps, and he wants to put his car up front.
Back up front, Jeff Burton being shown as our leader. He has led 35 of the 116 laps that have been completed. He is the 6th different leader. We've had 10 lead changes. And Jeff Burton's Holiday Inn Chevrolet is showing the way.
Jerry, it's a good news, bad news scenario for the leader. Good news is that car that was ready to spin out at any moment earlier is now very comfortable to drive. Bad news is they haven't figured out how to make it run without fuel. He will be short about 6 laps at the end of this race. Mike?
Well, Kyle Busch Busch just radioed in. He wanted to know how much Jeff Burton had him by. The answer was, sometimes you're even, sometimes he has you by a tenth. Kyle, not too optimistic, says he might not have anything for Jeff Burton, but believes he can hold off Matt Kenseth. Alan?
Remember that Matt Kenseth led this race as late as lap 91. They put a set of scuffed tires on the car in the last pit stop, tires that had been run a couple of laps, maybe for a practice qualifying run earlier in the day on Friday. He's not a big fan. He wants a caution. He wants to get another set of tires on this car. Jamie?
Well, Craig Biffle, guys, he started 11th. He's been hovering in the top 5 positions for most of the race right now. 4th. Remember, Biffle has won here 3 times, and he said he can make it a 4th tonight. His crew chief, Eddie Pardue, said just a bit ago, I think we have enough, guys. I think we can win this tonight. Alan?
Casey Mears is running in 5th position, really only just recovering from a pit stop back at lap 59 when they had to take extra time onto the right front and make sure a brake duct was not rubbing the inside of the tire. He fell from 3rd back to 10th then. You see he's only made his way back up to 5th position. And just behind Mears, Tony Stewart driving the Joe Gibbs 18. Tony on the radio just a couple of laps ago said he's got the whip out. Little horse racing reference. He said, that's all I've got right there. Jamie?
Edwards, very impressive tonight. Started in that 40th position. He's up to 7th right now. He's keeping an eye, though, on that 16 of Greg Biffle, his teammate. Look at these closing laps for some teamwork to come into play. But first, Carl Edwards must move past Tony Stewart and Casey Mears to make that happen.
Jamie, that track bar adjustment and 4 fresh tires they made for Dave Blaney on that last stop have really helped. He restarted the race, or he restarted that last time in 20th position. He's all the way up to the 8th position now, trying to get back to where he started this race, at the front. The 33 of Kevin Harvick will have to pit, but as one of the leaders, since everyone else has to pit as well. Around lap 132, his car still very loose. He said, I need to be tightened up a fair amount. That's quite a bit in driver's speak. Jamie?
Jamie McMurray, the best he's been all night, up to the 10th position. He was down there in the 20th, 24th spot for most of the night. But right now, guys, he's on the move. He, too, wants to get up there to his Roush Racing teammates and get some teamwork in these closing laps. Doc?
All right, great hustle, guys, in the pits, and the 15 car is slowing down. Look at the miles per hour for Paul Menard as he has really dropped off there just a moment ago, down in the 150 range.
Yeah, we saw him get off the corner really good, handling really good, but right here he's losing on the straightaway.
All right, 29 laps to go, and some nervous people wondering, are we going to get a yellow for this final pit stop? Brewer's ready. He can pull those tires off.
Out, caution's out. Bunch of smoke out the back of.
Back at California Speedway, caution number 7 coming out into a spin in turns 1 and 2 in the leaders. Everyone bailing out to come down pit road to put that final set of fresh tires on. Let's take a look at the pit stops. Lead 3 cars. Jeff Burton top of your screen. Kyle Busch in the middle and Matt Kenseth on the bottom as the crews now go to work.
It's a key stop for Jeff Burton. If he get out first, I mean, that's what he really needed because his tires are taking so long to get him going. Let's take a look at Burton and see how the stop goes because that's something he needs dramatically in order to win this race.
Kyle Busch on and off in 16.3. Matt Kenseth at 15.4. And Burton, the quickest of the 3 and under 15 seconds, 14.6. And there's the race off of pit road on the right of your screen.
Jerry, that's just what he needed. At 29, needed that really bad because we've been talking all day long. He just can't seem to get that car going in the first 5 laps. Hey, give me the clean air, though, Andy. In the closing laps, he probably put a little, maybe a pound or 2 in the tires to get that thing going.
Yeah, but it's about time to pay off, and Matt Kenseth came out second, right behind Jeff Burton. Looks like it's still anybody's race.
Now, Jeff Burton's been able to lead on those restarts, but the 5 car has been awfully good rushing to the front. Okay, now why did we go under yellow here for the 7th time? Here, let's watch the 15 car was slowing down on the racetrack and smoke coming out of the back of the Menard Chevy for Paul Menard.
We saw him earlier really slow. We talked about him slowing down, but evidently he was losing a cylinder, either a push rod or a valve spring went disarray, something like that. So he's lost a cylinder, and finally the engine finally exploded, and that's what brought it out.
And that was the 7 car of Mike Wallace in the Geico Chevy. Apparently got into some fluid or something. Watch him on the inside and tried to stay down out of the fluid, turned the car down, and just around it came.
Jerry, it looks like he had a run on the 47 car of John Wood and got down low below the racetrack and just ran out of real estate. He got below the line and just ran out of room. And boy, I tell you, what do you do there? You get on a flat spot, Andy, you spin that baby out.
Yeah, John Wood, he was reacting to the smoke in front of him, and he kind of turned left. He didn't realize that the car was underneath him.
All right.
Caused him to spin out.
Now, the important part on that pit stop is how they came off pit road. Jeff Burton back up front, Matt Kenseth. You see Riggs, 18 spots he gained in the 9 car. Great effort by the Evernham crew.
Tell me when you're ready. Jeff Burton, Rusty Wallace, ESPN, you got us?
Ben.
All right, buddy, this is what you needed, man. You got 4 stickers. It's closing laps of this race. Can you hold that 17 off?
We'll try hard. He's obviously one of the greatest drivers out here. We'll do all we can. We had some, been too loose and too tight, even a little bit of everything tonight. So hopefully we got it right when it counts. That run there was really good. We'll drive it down in turn 1, see what happens with the Holiday Inn Chevrolet.
Jeff, have you noticed if the track's going tight or loose, or has the whole track just got overall grip?
When the race started, we had great grip, and then we went through 2 segments where we were really, really loose. And then this last segment, we got our grip back and also got our turn back and got our rear grip back. So if I can get that again, we'll be in good shape.
All right, Jeff, thanks a lot for talking to us. Go get him.
All right, we showed you a moment ago that the 9 car of Scott Riggs gained 18 spots on pit road. They only put on right side tires, so Mike Shiplett, part of the Evernham team, opting to only put on right side tires. Remember, that's the car that won this race a year ago. Let's listen in on Matt Kenseth's communication.
Mike, sit out, let him catch me. But just in case he does, just try to let me know we're really back there. Because once I get past Apex, I'm hanging on, and if you tell me right before it gets to the wall, it's too late for me to stay low unless I spin out, you know what I mean?
Well, I'll tell you what, he's worried about the 9 car behind him right now because he's loose on exit. He's another guy that's got to get the tire pressures up in his car to get going. But the guy's got the guy in the best position right now is definitely Jeff Burton with that clean air, because you know what? With 25 laps to go, these drivers can dig down and make it happen. That's what Burton's getting ready to do.
All right, we'll see if the Holiday Inn Chevy can hang on. Jeff Burton's got 25 laps to go. And you're going to be able to watch these cars come up to speed as the green flag waves once again. Good restart by Burton. Here comes Kenseth looking to the inside. Watch the 5 car now come across. He's been awfully good in the early laps on fresh tires.
Boy, Matt Kenseth's not letting Jeff Burton get very far ahead of him.
And Jeff Burton knows exactly what's going on, too, because he's dealt with this all day long. He's got to worry about staying ahead of that 17, but the guy I've got to worry about now is that 60 car. He's really coming strong, and he's the guy they need to take a look at, because right on the bottom of the racetrack there, not giving up any real estate, got a lot of momentum right behind the 5 car, Kyle Busch.
We see the sparks flying out of these cars. They got low air pressures on these first laps, and that's why they hit the racetrack, make those sparks fly, and they're driving as hard as they can drive.
Oh, Andy, you're exactly right. These pressures are down. Those cars are hitting the racetrack, because you got to remember, they're all coil binding. They got the front of the car as low as they possibly can. The cross members are hitting. Everything's hitting.
Here comes a 17 on the inside, trying to make the move off the turn down the backstretch. They are side by side. Kyle Busch, who does he go with? He's watching Burton high and Kenseth low.
Well, this is great side-by-side racing.
But Jerry, he just can't give it away to him.
17.
He's got to hold that outside lane, keep that momentum going, Andy, because if he lets that 17 go by, man, he's lost that track position.
We saw him use that outside line and use that momentum to pass him back on the front stretch.
He's got to get up on that wheel, man. Don't give up right now. Don't quit on me. That's what I tell my guys, don't you?
You doggone right, man. This is what it's all about right here.
Jeff Burton climbing up on that steering wheel. Knows he needs a few laps for these tires to come in, but he will lose the lead right there to Matt Kenseth and hang on. Now, if you're Burton, what do you do?
You just let the tire pressures come up and try them at a different angle. But look at this back here right now. Kevin Harvick, he's overhauling Dave Blaney on the inside. Hey, it's crunch time now, man. We've only got about 22 laps to go in this race. These guys got to get the let out and get going.
Remember, leaders on the left side of your screen. Harvick is one of those drivers who wanted those fresh rubber. This car slips up, and Blaney looks down. But here comes Tony Stewart on the 18 car on the inside of Harvick.
Andy, this is classic case. The tire pressure's not coming up quick enough. You know, these guys are driving these cars to the edge, hoping for that pressure. You see the smoke come off the right rear of Blaney. He's holding on for dear life right now.
Man, we got battles all over the racetrack. We got a second-place battle with Kyle Busch driving up under Jeff Burton on the backstretch.
I'll tell you what now, I'd much rather be on the outside exiting turn 4, but now Busch has got to be real careful, because if Burton gets down alongside him, he could lose that air and spin this thing out, getting awful tight right there. All right, but now watch Jeff Burton. He's got that momentum. He's got that momentum coming down the front straightaway. If he can stay ahead of that 5 car, gosh, he's got to do it, man. You just can't give it up this late in the race right now.
Yeah, these cars behind him are loving this. Carl Edwards is stalking these guys. He said, you guys keep racing side by side, and I'll catch you.
And that's exactly what happened. You see Carl Edwards coming in right now, that they're racing side by side. Hey, aerodynamically, that slows both of you down. That's letting Carl Edwards run them back down.
Guys, Carl Edwards, crew chief PK just came on the radio and said, Carl, you're better than these guys. Go for it. He let him know. Right behind him, Casey Mears is up behind him. Hopefully they will work together right now and they can get up to those leaders. If you look at the lap times, guys, Carl Edwards is on a move. 4th position right now. It's the best he's been all night.
Yeah, PK is Pierre Cattell, the crew chief for the 60 car of Carl Edwards, who won this race back in 2005. He tries to get in, but he can't get the momentum, and Casey Mears will hold him to the spot. Great battle, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th on your screen. Now, what's the 60 car, Rusty, up high? Gets a good run.
Yeah, a lot of momentum, guys. We're talking about these Busch engines. They make about 750 horsepower. Look at that little nudge in the Oh, Sam Hornish loses it. Gosh, he's had such a great day, guys, for it to go disarray right at the very end. You know, I want to take a look at this replay and see what happens, because
you okay, Sam?
He might have.
Yeah, Sam had been in the
driving it back.
Had been in the top 15 all day and in the top 10.
Back to the garage, guys.
Yeah.
Brake tore up. Rear spoiler's gone.
And as you heard the crew talking to him, the rear spoiler is gone, so they got to go back to the garage. What a tough break for Sam Hornish. Watch again, see if we can see what happened to Sam.
I tell you what, that is just what we've been talking about, losing your downforce. You drive in alongside of a car, and that airflow doesn't come down the side, and get to the rear spoiler, you get loose. You know, Sam learned that earlier off at Exeter Turn 2, and now he's paid the price again on the entry of Turn 1.
Yeah, that's one of the problems that these guys driving these different race cars, driving these open wheel cars and then these stock cars. They have to learn the different characteristics of the aero.
And we've seen that a lot today. This is a speedway where you've got so much entry speed, 200 miles an hour going into one. And if you don't give yourself, Andy, about 4 foot of room so that air can flow down to the car and get to that rear spoiler, you pay the price that Sam Hornish just paid.
All right, the free pass goes to J.J. Yaley, as he will be able to get back on the lead lap. J.J. Yaley able to make the free pass. And 18 laps to go here. And that will certainly help JJ get the 1 car back on the lead lap. All right, let's meet JJ Yaley a little more up close and personal.
I am JJ Yaley. My wife was giving me a lot of ribbing about being hairy. I guess the older I get, the hairier I was getting. Finally, we were at the beach. You know, I'm walking around without a shirt. I kept hearing it. So, okay, load up. I'm going to get waxed. I really didn't pay that much attention to the camera crew because it hurt bad.
Don't tense up.
The sound guy left because he was getting nauseous. For real. Say that I've been waxed, probably would never do it again because it hurt.
You know these drivers are tough, but man, you deserve a free pass if you go through that. That is unbelievable. All right, our ESPN presentation of NASCAR Busch Series action at California is being brought to you by NASCAR Hot Pass only on DirecTV, and by the U.S. Navy. Navy, accelerate your life. Back with the final 17 laps in.
Dale Earnhardt Jr. wins at Richmond.
Yeah! Hey guys, y'all had NASCAR Hot Pass only on DirecTV? Could have ridden shotgun with me the whole race. Monitored through my car's telemetry. Even heard everything me and Tony Jr. said on the radio. Sorry about about that little exchange on lap 31? We'll clean that up next time. Woo!
Ride shotgun with top NASCAR drivers. Only on DirecTV.
This telecast is available on ESPN2 HD, presented by Vizio. We are under our 8th caution here, Brad Doherty. That ties a record set in 1999 and 2005. Your observations with 16 laps to go.
Well, I think it was a tough break for Matt Kenseth, who I picked, by the way, to win this race, but he's got Jeff Burton right back up to his bumper, and I think these guys behind him 2 through 5 will hang on to him. It's going to be tough for him to pull away.
I tell you what, that clean air out front, hey, that's the way to go. If you're out front, here Burton won. It's going to be a dogfight right here.
Take it away, Jerry.
All right, guys, thank you very much. 16 laps, make it 15 laps to go. Who's going to win this shootout? In California Speedway, Kenseth the leader. The Chevy side-by-side of Kyle Busch and Jeff Burton, and Burton battles back.
Kyle Busch just got a big jump on Jeff Burton inside going into turn 1 on a restart. Great restart for Kyle Busch. You see Casey Mears coming behind his teammate. Now look, guys, in the back straightaway, this could mean business with a little extra drafting help.
All right, those of you standing by, tuning in to watch Bassmasters, that'll be coming up. The Bassmasters Classic coming up day 2. Next, after we finish these final 15 laps.
Yeah, we can see if Kevin Van Dam can win the Bassmasters Classic for 2007 with 1 day left.
Bassmasters, man, I've never done that before. Never been fished. You got to take me, Andy.
Trying to land the big one, and one driver who had a big day going, but it all came to a close just a couple of laps ago.
Looks like it's heating up front.
Well, that's right, Doc. The 3-time IndyCar champ, Sam Hornish, still looking for a little bit of stock car success. What happened?
You know, the car was real good. Moved our way up into the top 10 earlier in the race, and felt good about that. Just got back in the pack, and trying to get around a lap car, and thought I'd had a little bit more room. But I feel bad for the guys on the Mobil 1 Dodge. They been working real hard trying to make this transition for me as easy as possible, and just felt really good today, and just wish we would have got a little bit more out of it. But had a lot of fun out there tonight.
Well, Jerry, obviously very disappointing for Sam Hornish Jr. His driving coach, the great Buddy Baker, came on the radio not too long ago and said he was the best car out there. Guys?
Oh, he was doing a great job. Here's a great battle here for second spot. Kyle Busch now in front of the 29 of Jeff Burton, and right behind them, Casey Mears sitting there watching for who he should follow.
Now, Jerry, one thing that Jeff Burton could do to Kyle Busch, if he gets right to his tail, he'll really get Kyle Busch loosened up, walk him up the racetrack and make the pass on the inside. But you got to get to him first to make that happen. You see Casey Mears sneaking on the inside of Burton right now. Got a good run, a lot of momentum. Should be able to clear Jeff on this one.
All right, these great shots from high above California Speedway, courtesy of our friends from Goodyear. Whoa! And up high on the inside is Mears, and high, and now Burton keeps him getting pinned against the wall. Our friends at Goodyear helping NASCARs get to the finish line for the past 25 years. And as we were watching these guys, one mistake and none of these guys will make it to the finish line.
Jerry, I've been talking all day long about how slick this track is and how hard these tires are. I mean, man, these guys are slipping all over the place. And look at Carl Edwards. He's not letting these cats get away at all. Now, Jeff Burton really gave up something just then, because Andy, he had that run going on the outside, and he lost real estate, man, coming off that turn.
You know who's loving this, though? Matt Kenseth.
Oh, yeah. Matt Kenseth is the guy really loving this right now, because he's got that clear. He is gone, man. This color, him gone. When these guys get racing side by side with 11 laps to go, gosh, that's exactly what you want to see as later. Look how big a lead that Kenseth's got on these guys already.
1.5 seconds, and the highest Casey Mears has been today. Great job for Casey Mears after that frustrating weekend at Daytona in the Busch Series. In second spot, Kyle Busch is fourth. Jeff Burton trying to battle back at 60. That's the Carl Edwards car on the inside as they battle side by side. 10 laps to go. Great NASCAR Busch Series action.
Jerry, you got to give a hand for Casey Mears. I mean, this guy's lost 2 cars at Daytona, didn't even make the race, and coming all the way up to charge for the victory right now. Got a great second place going on. His car has really been strong in the late stages.
Carl Edwards now slides up in front of Burton for position. With more on Jeff Burton, let's check in with Dave.
And Jerry, you guys talked earlier how sets of tires are like people. They're all a little bit different, and Jeff thinks they did not save their best set for the end of this race. He was hoping the caution period would help him a little bit. It has not.
All right, thank you very much, Dave. As Burton is trying to hang on now as Edwards has gone by. He is back in the 5th position. But meanwhile, the leader, Matt Kenseth, seems to have everything going his way, Alan.
Rusty, when you're out front, when you were winning a race like this late, were you looking in the mirror more than you were looking out front?
Oh, absolutely, Alan. That's a good way to look at it. He's got such a big lead right now. He just wants to maintain it right now, guard it. So he's got a spotter look in front, and also he's just glancing in the mirror. He feels real good right now.
Yeah, he's looking behind him, and he's seeing Casey Mears closing. Spotter Bob Jeffries is telling Matt that Casey Mears is running a higher line than he's been. Matt said, I can't do that. How many laps are left? He's watching the front. He's watching the back as well.
Yeah, we got a new player in Casey Mears. He's up there in second place. He's stalking Matt Kenseth, and he's running faster lap tomes than Matt.
Yeah, he just took 0.2 of a second off of the lead in one lap. But he's only got 8 laps left.
Well, I'll tell you what, the 5 car, Kyle Busch, his car's losing the front end a little bit. We saw him many times taking the left front tire, going right below the white line. He's actually getting on the apron, trying to get that car to turn, get some good momentum up off of turn 2. Not so much off of turn 4, but he's really working turn 2. Look at the bottom. See, he's right on the apron, right down that dirt. He's trying to get that front end hooked up on that thing. That's what you got to do if your car's losing the front end here at California.
$1.626 million up for grabs as these guys are trying to get it done. Mike Massaro with 7 laps to go.
Well, you heard of the report earlier in the day, Jerry, about how Kyle Busch said it was a level 7 tight. Well, he just radioed in and said it's tighter than it's been all day. Not good news for Kyle Busch as he tries to chase down the leaders right now. This is exactly the opposite of what he was looking for on the last stop. He came in and radioed and said, the only way I have a chance at winning this race today is if you free me up. And obviously, they did not do that.
Well, if you watch these two here, Mike, you see there goes Kenseth behind the Dish Ford, the Ford Fusion. And Casey Mears, what a job he has done pedaling this brand new car. And if you do the calculations, Andy Petrie, and if Casey Mears continues to gain, he should catch Kenseth possibly on the white flag lap.
He's been catching him every single lap. I've been watching this monitor, and he's running faster lap times than Matt Kenseth every single lap. The last thing Matt Kenseth wants to see is a caution because he's got a fast car behind him in Casey Mears. He doesn't want to see a caution come out right now because he's got that cushion on him. But he keeps chipping away at him.
Now, Andy, if he can get in the front straightaway, if he can get a good run off of turn 4 and actually feel a little bit of that draft, although right now he's a little too far back, but if he can feel a little bit of that draft down the front straightaway, he can really gain some big speed and maybe catch Kenseth. But I'll tell you what, I'm not giving up, man. I don't give up on nothing, but I'm afraid that Kenseth might be a little too far ahead. But, hey, Mears still's catching him.
Here's the battle for 6 spots shaping up. Here's Harvick in the 33. The 29 car is 6. That's Jeff Burton. The 7th place car was Hamlin, and Harvick was 8. There they come, 6th, 7th, and 8th as those cars beginning to tighten it up just outside the top 5. But here is the battle up front. Kenseth now, the margin down to 1.2 seconds. It was almost 2 seconds a few laps ago.
You know, you talk about the quietest guy in the racetrack. Matt Kenseth.
4 laps to go, 4.
Look at that. He's just doing this with ease right now. You never hear out of Kenseth. He's a quiet guy, doesn't really jump out there and wake you up. But, man, he can sure get the job done behind the wheel.
And then that Casey Mears has climbed up on the wheel. He's beat him every single lap the last 5 or 6 laps. He's still chipping away.
Great effort by Chad Walter and the crew there for Casey Mears. The National Guard 40th Infantry Division. That's what they're honoring with that car here tonight in NASCAR Busch Series competition. And Mears is coming, but he may run out of time. We'll check their speeds as they flash across the line this time.
3 laps to go, 3. Doing good.
Well, Mears obviously is the fastest car there, but he has 3 laps to get there.
The only thing that's going to save him is a caution flag. And if that happens, we've got a green, white checker restart. And, man, that shuffles the whole field up again. And you know what, Jerry? It seems like it happens all the time in these Busch races. See what happens.
And the 33, Kevin Harvick, had to come from a lap down, had to go back in and change tires, and now is trying to take the position away. That is 7th spot from Denny Hamlin. And Harvick's Road Lone Chevy gets the spot away.
He said he wasn't going to give up. He's still chipping off, getting cars one at a time, 3 laps to go. He still hadn't given up.
And with more on Denny Hamlin, let's check in to Dave Burns.
Jerry, the simple fact that Hamlin is up here racing is amazing. They had 2 bad pit stops at the beginning of this race that put them behind the 8 ball all night long. Denny has raced his way back into the top 10, and the last pit stop they had, a good one finally.
And How about giving a call to the 4-car? Regan Smith, what a job he has done for the Ginn Motorsports and the Ginn Resorts efforts. Young driver showing awfully well here in the top 10. 2 laps to go. It'll be white flag now, this time by for Matt Kenseth, and the white is in the air.
White flag here, white flag. The 47 should go to the top.
Kenseth trying to hang on, and Mears is really trying to close here on the final lap. A little smoke out of the backside of the 17 car.
Yeah, we've seen that out of that 17 car all day. He's got a little bit of a tire rub. He's got a half a lap to go to get it done.
Casey Mears has finished second here in 2004. Matt Kenseth was tied with the 16 car of Greg Biffle for 3 wins at California Speedway. He comes out of turn 4, and Matt Kenseth picks up his 4th career win at California Speedway. What a great effort by Kenseth. And here's a battle to the stripe, and boy, that was close. The 20 and the 4 car, Hamlin and Smith. Looks like Hamlin will get the spot, will finish in 8th position. '22nd NASCAR Busch Series win in his 200th race, so a nice way to celebrate for Matt Kenseth. Started on the outside front row in the Dish Network Ford Fusion and takes the victory here, his 4th career at the 2-mile California Speedway. Let's check in with Mike.
Well, Jerry, no other word to describe the Roush Fenway dominance here than utterly amazing. How have you been able to master this racetrack?
Well, we really like 2-mile racetracks. Of course, it's been always Matt's really been good at these tracks, and so is Carl, and so is Greg Biffle, you know, so with that kind of leadership, that's what you get.
Were there any concerns coming down to the final laps?
Well, there was. I know Matt was measuring his car and making sure he had something left on the tires for a green-white checker, and everybody was trying to catch him. But, you know, Drew had worked, and the crew had worked with the tire pressure today, trying to figure out exactly what they needed. They had scuffs, they had stickers, they were going back and forth, and at the end they got it just right. I was concerned we had enough for the 5 and the 21, but it worked out.
Well, I'd say they got it just right, Jerry. Another win for Roush Fenway here in California.
And Mike, that makes 12 wins for Roush Fenway Racing. They've won 6 now in the NASCAR Busch Series, 4 in Cup and 2 in the NASCAR Craftsman Truck. And a text message is going out from the Kenseth family somewhere in celebration. And Kyle Busch gave it a heck of an effort, Dave.
And down here now, Jerry Kyle just climbing out of the car, has gotten his radio off and the glasses on, even though it's nighttime. Kyle, you almost had him there at the end coming on. How was the car, and what held you back?
Tight. We just, leading out there, we were pretty good. Clean air, obviously, was the best you could get. Anytime anybody ever got out there, they just took off and checked out. The Hendrick Auto Guard Chevrolet was good tonight, just not quite good enough. I feel bad. I gave these guys some bad information, so sorry to them. But, congratulations to the 2014. That's my old team, so they did great tonight, and it's good to see that back.
This is the best finish for Kyle Busch here at the California Speedway in the Busch Series. Jamie?
Well, Dave, Casey Mears finally made his debut here for Hendrick Motorsports in the Busch Series, failing to qualify in Daytona. What a comeback, Casey. What was the difference here tonight?
It's just a totally different track. You really can't relate Daytona and what you do here, but just the National Guard Chevrolet was awesome. And real proud of these guys. They went through a tough weekend there in Daytona and worked unbelievably hard all night, trying to get all those cars done. And they stayed after it for this weekend, and we got a good finish. We didn't have quite what we needed to get Matt, but it's a good start for us. I'm very happy.
Casey Mears finishes second, guys. First time we've seen the 24 car in the Busch Series since 2002.
All right, Matt Kenseth. He's been to victory lane 4 times here now for the 4th time. He finally gets over to victory lane for celebrating his win here at California Speedway. Kenseth, by the way, will start 25th in the NASCAR Nextel Cup Series event here on Sunday. 200th career start in NASCAR Busch Series competition, and Kenseth picks up his 22nd win. 4th win here in 12 starts. And Matt Kenseth has shown that he is as smooth as silk when it comes to driving this demanding 2-mile track.
I tell you what he is. He's great at getting his car handling too, Jerry. He's great communication with his crew chief. He worked all night long, getting the thing ready for the very end of the race. And you know what? That's what Matt has always been so good at. We've seen him in victory lane many times in this style of racetrack.
And getting a big hug and a kiss down there, Matt, saying, boy, what a good night's work here. Remember, Bassmasters coming up momentarily from Lay Lake in Birmingham, Alabama. And Matt Kenseth is climbing out of the car. Let's go down to Alan Bester.
And celebrating a 4th NASCAR Busch Series win here at the California Speedway. Matt, congratulations. The winning pass came after the restart when you had to get by Jeff Burton. Talk us through that move.
Just got under Jeff. I knew he was going to race him really hard, but there's really no one I like racing better than Jeff Burton. He's a good friend of mine, and he was always a great teammate, and he's still a lot of fun to race against. So that was a lot of fun. I think this is the first win for Roush Fenway Motorsports, and happy for Dish Network. And one thing I get in real quick is every time we win a race, it's free fries Monday at Arby's. So all you got to do is bring in the race results, free French fries.
You got the sponsor plug in. Your 4th win in 12 Busch Series tries at this track. How do you explain that kind of success rate? That's crazy.
We just had good cars. I mean, we've had a lot of chances here. Had really good handling cars, and a lot of that's thanks to Mark. You know, Mark and Jeff Burton are so good at these tracks, and I learned a lot from them, and Greg Biffle. So really, that's it. And Drew, this is the first win for Drew, and I know I'll botch his last name, so I'm not going to say it. Blickendorfer, first win for him, I believe, as a crew chief, and he's an awesome guy. It's only my 2nd week with him, and he gave me a car good enough to win both weeks, so it's going to be a lot of fun this year.
Congratulations.
Thanks.
Matt Kenseth wins tonight at California, Doc.
All right, congratulations to him and Drew Blickensderfer. And the action continues next week. The NASCAR Busch Series heads south of the border to Mexico City, Sunday, March 4th at 1:30 Eastern Time. We'll have live NASCAR Busch Series action from Mexico. Brent?
All right, thank you, Jerry. Nice job up there. Congratulations to the pride of Cambridge, Wisconsin. Matt Kenseth, Brad, he did a great job.
22nd NASCAR Busch Series win for Matt Kenseth. It makes him 5th all-time on the all-time wins list.
Get out in that clean air, man, you can check out, go to that next zip code, work for him.
It is the 8th Ford victory here in the last 9 races. And the top 8 finishers today will all race in tomorrow's 500 winner. The 22nd NASCAR Busch Series win for 34-year-old Matt Kenseth. Don't forget now, the action continues, as Jerry told you, from south of the border next week. Coming up next now, Bassmaster Classic Day 2. So long, everybody.